Naruto's Strongest Talent, Chapter 81-100. 81 Get ready for Kato Dan. The next day, when he got up from the couch, Conan drank water early to let Chen wash up, and waited obediently on the side like a little maid. Waiting for Chen to wash up, pour tea and water, she is very cute. Chen was not used to it at first and wanted Conan not to do it, but Conan didn't listen at all, so Chen could only let Conan do it. After grooming, Chen saw Minato's excited voice coming from outside the door. "Chen, we have another mission. Teacher Jiraiya and Teacher Tsunade invite us over." Another mission. Chen's spirit was also lifted, and now he is somewhat looking forward to the mission, and the reason is very simple. Every time the mission is against the enemy, Chen can clearly feel his progress. According to this, Chen feels that he is not far from the peak of Jonin. "Well, let's go." Minato was even more excited. After Chen killed the Omegakure ghost sword, he never performed the mission, and he had been looking forward to it for a long time. Chen and Minato went to the main tent together. Tsunade, Jiraiya, Orochimaru and Kato Dan were among them. Chen pouted when he saw Kato Dan. Chen never liked Kato Dan. He didn't say hello to Kato Dan. Chen just nodded with Tsunade. "Chen, Minato, you two came just right. We have a task for you and Kato Dan." Tsunade smiled. With Kato Dan, Chen heard Tsunade say this. Chen couldn't help but glanced at Kato Dan, and found that Kato Dan was also taken aback. Obviously he didn't expect it. Tsunade waved his hand. "Currently, Sunagakure and Omegakure are waiting for an opportunity in the Battle of the Land of Rain. Only we and Iwagakure are constantly fighting, and Iwagakure is our great enemy at present. So this time I want to ask you to do the task." "That's it. We intend to let the three of you monitor the movements of Iwagakure. Kato Dan has the technique of spiritualization and can monitor the movements of the enemy. And Chen, you are resourceful and very strong. Minato has Hiraishin, and you have more than enough to protect yourself. So I plan to let the three of you act at the same time to monitor and inquire about the current information on Iwagakure." Tsunade wrote. It was so. Inquiring about Iwagakure's intelligence. After Chenshui flooded Iwagakure and destroyed Iwagakure's food supply, the balance of victory in the war began to gradually tilt towards Konoha. In the absence of reinforcements from Iwagakure, Iwagakure faced a wooden defense. And Iwagakure's recent movements have always been a bit mysterious, so Tsunade only got 3 of them to inquire about the information. Mission with Kato Dan. Chen's heart moved, and he thought to himself, maybe this is a good opportunity to solve Kato Dan. Since the old man's 6 paths reminded him of Kato Dan, Chen can faintly perceive that Kato Dan has bad intentions towards him, and Chen has long given it to him. Kato Dan was sentenced to death. He wouldn't foolishly wait for Kato Dan to take the initiative to deal with him. Of course, this kind of thing must be done first. "No problem, we'll definitely get the job done." Namikaze Minato didn't know Tatsuya's thoughts, and immediately said without any pressure. Kato Dan also glanced at Chen with a complicated expression. The shadow in his eyes flashed away, and doing tasks with Chen made Kato Dan feel unhappy. But of course he wouldn't say anything about Tsunade's arrangement, just nodded in a muffled voice. "I see. Well, this time you mainly focus on the movements of the Iwagakure blasting force," Tsunade instructed. Chen, Minato, Kato Dan all nodded. "Oh, by the way, your 3-member team, temporarily with Chen as the captain, is in charge of everything." Tsunade said something again as if he remembered something. With Chen as the leader of the 3-person 3-team squad, everything obeys Chen's command. Kato Dan's complexion immediately turned gloomy as water. He is the peak Jonin, but now he has to obey Chen's command, which makes him very uncomfortable, not to mention this is what Tsunade himself said. Even the captain appointed Uchiha Chen. Is it in Tsunade's heart that I am so abhorrent than Uchiha Chen, no matter what? Whether it is strength or experience, it should be me who is stronger. Kato Dan bit Kiba, looked at Chen, his face became more gloomy, and his eyes flashed coldly. Chen took a panoramic view of this scene and firmly believed in his own judgment. Boy, this Kato-dan's hostility towards you is getting heavier and heavier. Be careful that he is not good for you this time around. The old man of 6 paths also said. I know the old man, thank you for reminding me. Chen said lightly. Even the old 6 paths said so, he couldn't let Kato-dan go. Boy, if it is really dangerous, this old man will help you. After all, the other party is the peak Jonin. I'm afraid it's not something you can handle now. 6 paths old man said. Chen smiled and refused. No need, I can handle it myself. Old 6 paths for everything. You have a way to deal with peak Jonin, I'll wait and see. The 6 paths old man was very curious, but he still obeyed. Tsunade finished the task and said, Chen, you all pay attention to safety along the way, be careful. Got it. Chen nodded. Tsunade also sent Chen out of the camp. Jiraiya and Orochimaru also said that they were waiting for Chen and the 3 guys to return. Then even Naoki came. Naoki has been in fighting with Orochimaru. He and Tatsu are also good friends. Both of them and Kushina belong to the Tsunade Class 3, and they have a very good relationship with each other. Hello to Naoki. Chen and the 3 of them prepared everything, left the base, and set off immediately. 82 Calculations Kato-dan. The weakness of spiritualization technique. Tatsu and 3 left the base and headed to Iwagakure's territory to spy on information. The rain in the country of rain has not stopped, but it is light rain, and the weather is not too bad. Chen, Minato and Kato-dan are together. The atmosphere is very awkward, especially Chen and Kato-dan have their own thoughts, and there is almost no communication. Kato-dan is hostile to Chen, and Chen is too lazy to pay attention to Kato-dan. Ahem, where are we going now? Minato gradually realized that something was wrong between Tatsu and Kato-dan, so he took the initiative to ease the atmosphere and asked. Of course it is to go to Iwagakure's site. According to the map and intelligence data, most of Iwagakure are in the south of the Land of Rain. Our main purpose is to spy on the movements of the Iwagakure ninja unit. Chen said lightly. No problem. Minato nodded in agreement. Chen glanced at Kato-dan and said, Kato-dan, you use the technique of spiritualization to spy on information, there is no problem, right? I see. Kato-dan said stiffly. Kato-dan is the pinnacle of Jonin, and he also has his own unique ninjutsu called spiritual transformation. The technique of spiritualization is able to make the soul leave the body, similar to the soul forbidden technique of spiritualization. It turns oneself into a living soul, ignores the distance and kills the enemy, and can also control the other's body and enter the spiritual world of others. The spiritualization technique is very powerful and has a wide range of uses. Kato-dan is also called the peak Jonin because of the spiritualization technique. The spiritualization technique can be regarded as Kato-dan's unique skill. It can be said that if Chen can crack the technique of spiritual transformation, then he can defeat Kato-dan. Boy, the technique of spiritual transformation is not easy to deal with. You are sure that you don't need my help to deal with this Kato-dan? The old man of 6 paths laughed jokingly. Chen smiled lightly, and communicated with the old man 6 paths. Although the technique of spiritualization is powerful, even the most powerful ninjutsu has weaknesses, and the same is true of this technique of spiritualization. As long as you know your weaknesses, there's nothing to be afraid of. Oh, tell me, what are the weaknesses of the spiritualization technique? The old man of 6 paths seems to be taking the exam for the school day. During this period of time, Chen followed the 6 paths old man to learn ninjutsu, and the 6 paths old man also wanted to test Chen's achievements. Chen Dao, the most terrifying part of the spiritualization technique is that it allows the soul to leave the body, ignoring the distance to kill the enemy, and many people were killed before they could be prepared. But if you take precautions in advance, the power of spiritual transformation will be greatly reduced. Well, but despite this, the technique of spiritualization is still very difficult to deal with, and the demonic illusion you are good at is useless. 6 paths old man said. Chen nodded. I know, but I think that despite this, the technique of spiritual transformation still has 2 weaknesses. One is that when the technique of spiritual transformation is used, the ninja's body will not be able to move, and it is almost at the mercy of others. The second is that the duration of the spiritualization technique cannot be too long, otherwise the soul will be damaged. Since Chen has to deal with Kato Dan, it will be early. On Kato Dan's magic of spirituality. When the spiritualization technique is performed, the body cannot move, which is the biggest drawback of the spiritualization technique. Duration is also a problem. The duration of the spiritualization technique cannot be too long, which is also very understandable. If there is no time limit, the spiritualization is really too heaven-defying. The 6 paths old man nodded with satisfaction, and said in surprise, that's right. 6 paths is very surprised by Chen, and it seems that they are really ready to deal with Kato Dan because they know so much about the art of transformation. Since I know the weakness of the art of spiritual transformation, I already have an advantage, Kato Dan. A cold light flashed in Chen's eyes. Boy, you still have to be more careful, the technique of spiritualization is very strong. There is no doubt about this, and the other party is still the peak Jonin. It is really troublesome to deal with you. 6 paths old man kindly reminded. Chen nodded secretly. After finishing the chat with the old man 6 paths, Chen looked at the surrounding environment, and unknowingly, the 3 of Chen had already driven a long distance and gradually entered the range of Iwagakure. Iwagakure should be operating in this area, we still have to be careful. Namikaze Minato looked at the map and reminded. Chen and Kato Dan nodded slightly. Kato Dan also glanced at Chen, his face was even more gloomy, and he was also thinking about his idea, thinking about whether to take this opportunity to kill Chen in one fell swoop. Anyway, when he was out on a mission, it was normal for someone to die unexpectedly. Kato Dan is thinking about it. Now, Chen Zhang has already made a decision. 3 of Chen gradually deepened and gradually entered the hinterland of Iwagakure. There should be a lot of Iwagakure here, and there should be an Iwagakure camp nearby. Chen said lightly. Minato agrees with Chen's opinion. Well, how should we spy on intelligence? Hide your breath first and search for the location of Iwagakure's tent. Chen rode. No problem. Chen instructed Minato and Kato Dan to search for the location of Iwagakure's tent, and Kato Dan gave up his thoughts at this time and concentrated on searching. Chen 3 people hide their stature and breath, and soon, Minato has a harvest. Chen, I found out that about 3 kilometers to the southeast is the location of Iwagakure's camp. Surrounded by Iwagakure's elite, there are about 100 people. It is very likely that Iwagakure's blasting force. Minato rode. Iwagakure has a special unit called Demolition Unit, which belongs to the elite force of Iwagakure village. It is also the target of Chen and others to focus on spying on intelligence this time. Chen's eyes lit up. I found the Iwagakure blasting force, let's not startle the snakes. Well. Minato agreed, and Kato Dan naturally could only nod and obey Chen's orders. Successfully finding Iwagakure's blasting force, Chen got into it and thought of a way to deal with Kato Dan. Kato Dan is the peak Jonin, while Chen is only the elite Jonin, which is slightly inferior to Kato Dan, and there is no advantage in fighting Kato Dan head-on. But now the appearance of Iwagakure is an opportunity. Chen plans to make good use of Iwagakure. Let Iwagakure do him a big favor, and use Iwagakure's hand to get rid of Kato Dan. Kato Dan's threat is like a stick in his throat, which makes Chen very uncomfortable. He plans to take this once and for all, and use Iwagakure to kill Kato Dan. Everyone's support is the biggest driving force of the watermelon code word. 83 Boy, you are too bad. Ask for monthly pass. At this time, Chen and the 3 of them were all squatting in the grass, hiding their breath and communicating with each other. Listen to me, we'll split up, keep in touch, and spy on Iwagakure together. Information will be compiled later. Chen said lightly. Chen doesn't trust Kato Dan, so of course he won't cooperate with him. Chen chose to split up. Kato Dan has no objection, nodding lightly. He is also thinking about how to deal with Chen. Keep in touch, split up. Must be assembled here by tomorrow morning. Chen said lightly. Kato Dan and Minato both nodded in agreement, then flashed and disappeared. Kato Dan's back quickly disappeared in this area. Chen looked at Kato Dan's back. He immediately hand seal, separated two shadow clone. Following Kato Dan, I need to know his location. Chen ordered two shadow clone. Got it. Chen's two shadow clones acted instantly, and gradually followed Kato Dan. Boy, are you really going to deal with Kato Dan? How can you deal with him alone? The old man of six paths wondered. Although Chen's strength has improved rapidly, he is still not as good as Kato Dan. But now Chen asked Shadow Clone to follow Kato Dan. It seems that he really intends to do something to Kato Dan. Chen smiled lightly. Of course I have my own way. Chen sent Shadow Clone to follow Kato Dan, while he went to Iwagaku's camp. In fact, Chen's method is also very simple. The reason why Chen sent Shadow Clone to track Kato Dan just wanted to know Kato Dan's location, but then exposed Kato Dan's location to Iwagaku, and let Iwagaku deal with Kato Dan. That's the idea. Now that he had decided to remove the threat of Kato Dan, Tatsu immediately acted without hesitation. Six Paths about his plan. The old man Six Paths coughed and said, "Boy, your idea is too bad." Well, the old man won't get involved. The Six Paths old man wanted to persuade a few words, but thinking of Kato Dan's previous performance, he simply kept his mouth shut. Chen shrugged, his figure flashed quickly, he also disappeared in place, and went to Iwagaku's camp. Iwagaku camp is just ahead. Chen walked forward for a while, and finally quietly touched the side of Iwagaku camp, observing Iwagaku camp. Can be seen that this should be the temporary camp of Iwagaku. The number of people is about 100. Chen opened Sharingan observation. The chakra in these Iwagaku is not simple. It seems that it is indeed the elite troops of Iwagaku. Iwagaku is elite, and the number is expected to be around 100. Minato is right, it is probably the blasting force of Iwagaku. Chen's heart moved slightly, secretly aware of it. I only saw 5 ninjas in front of the camp, and the defense was heavily guarded. And what is going on in the camp is completely unclear. Sharingan has limited insight after all. Go to Iwagaku camp first, and reveal Kato Dan's information to Iwagaku. I just need to know where Kato Dan is and take back Shadow Clone. Chen secretly said in his heart. Chen deliberately sent 2 clones to follow Kato Dan, namely. For this moment. One of the characteristics of Shadow Clone technique is that when you remove the clone, you can get information about the experience of the clone, so Tatsuya can know the situation of Kato Dan. The technique of Shadow Clone is very practical, and it is also one of the ninjutsu that Chen learned in Anbu. Chen lifted a Shadow Clone, and immediately obtained information on Kato Dan. It turned out that Kato Dan had been hiding in the cave all the time, and he was going to hide in the cave to use spiritualization to ensure his own safety. Kato Dan is not stupid and knows to find a hidden hiding place first. It seems that I have to act faster, otherwise it will be difficult to deal with him when he uses the technique of spiritualization. Chen frowned. Seizing the opportunity, Tatsu flashed and approached Iwagaku's camp. Mask on his face, Chen also used transformation technique to disguise himself and sneaked into the Iwagaku camp. The ninjas around the Iwagaku camp were still patrolling back and forth. Chen wrote the news of Kato Dan on a piece of paper, then squeezed it into a ball of paper, and shot out violently, hitting one of the patrolling Iwagaku. Who? Patrol Iwagaku was suddenly startled. After realizing that it was just a piece of paper, he couldn't help but wonder. Looking left and right, Chen's figure had disappeared at this time, and they didn't find it. What's the matter? The surrounding Patrol Iwagakure was also alerted and asked one by one. Patrol Iwagakure, who was hit by the paper ball, said somewhat uncertainly, "It seems to be a piece of paper with a message written on it." "What's written in the ball of paper?" "Open it up and see." Patrol Iwagakure opened the paper and saw that it was written, "Konoha Peak Jonin Kato Dan is hiding in a hole about 2,000 meters in front of the left, trying to spy on Iwagakure information." The patrolling ninja was shocked and knew the seriousness of the situation the moment he opened the paper ball. "No, Kato Dan, the ninja with Konoha written on it, is nearby and wants to spy on us. Why hurry up and report this matter to Lord Shifeng. The source of this paper ball is reliable, so don't be a trap." When the Iwagakure talked, they were all suspicious. Patrol Iwagakure bit Kiba and said, "It doesn't matter, tell Lord Shifeng first. This kind of thing is not. They can decide," so patrolling Iwagakure doesn't dare to be careless. Shifeng's heart moved, but he had also heard of this person. He was a peak Jonin ninja in Iwagakure, and he was quite famous in the Iwagakure blasting force. This Iwagakure hurried to report Shifeng. Shifeng quickly walked out of the camp, and Shifeng looked very serious after asking about the situation. It turned out to be the pinnacle of Konoha village, Jonin Kato Dan. "I heard that Kato Dan has his own unique ninjutsu, and he is considered very strong in the peak Jonin." Shifeng's face was solemn, and he paced thoughtfully for a while. "No matter what. Whether this news is true or false, all of you will act for me, form a team to search for defenses around, and in addition, 10 of you will follow me. We will go to the hole mentioned on the paper ball, and carefully investigate the situation." Yes. Iwagakure all in action. Everything developed according to Chen's expectations. Now just waiting for Iwagakure and Kato Dan to collide. Please subscribe, ask for a monthly pass, and then you should read the novel without underline. 84 pushes Kato Dan into a corner. Please subscribe. Seeing Iwagakure in action, Chen quickly retreated to avoid being noticed by Iwagakure. "But I only saw that all the Iwagakure in the camp were on guard and quickly made defenses. These Iwagakure are well trained and indeed elite troops." Another 10 Iwagakure followed Shifeng to the cave where Kato Dan was hiding. Chen, while hiding the retreat of the breath, observed the movements of Shifeng and others. Shifeng took Iwagakure towards the cave at a high speed. Chen followed far behind, keeping a distance, very vigilant. The scenery on both sides flew by, and under the leadership of Shifeng, Iwagakure was getting closer and closer to Kato Dan. At this time, Kato Dan was still under the surveillance of Chen Shadow Clone. He was unaware of the danger, but was just preparing to use the technique of spiritual transformation. After Kato Dan first made sure that the environment of the underground cave was safe, he carefully used the spiritualization technique. As Chen said, "After using the spiritual transformation, my body cannot move, and I may be injured at any time, which is the biggest weakness of the spiritual transformation." In addition, the magic of spiritualization is still very strong. Why Kato Dan carefully observed the surrounding environment, and only after making sure it was safe would he use the spiritualization technique. Spiritualization. Kato Dan's body and soul are separated, and the soul is transparent, but a faint white mass can be discerned, which is the power of his soul power after being blessed by the technique of spiritualization. After using spiritualization, Kato Dan's soul becomes his strongest weapon, capable of killing enemies regardless of distance. Of course, the enemy can also see the soul of Kato Dan after spiritualization. In the original book, Akamichi Choza once communicated with Kato Dan who was using the spiritualization technique. Kato Dan can freely manipulate his soul after using spiritualization, and his soul emerges from the cave, emitting a faint white light, illuminating the surrounding area. The body should be safe to hide in the cave. Next, as long as you control the soul, it will be fine. I don't know where Uchiha-chan is. If I find his trace, I can just take the opportunity. A strong murderous intent flashed in Kato Dan's eyes. Kato Dan's dissatisfaction and hostility towards Chen gradually accumulated, and now he has murdered Chen. Kato Dan was thinking about this when he suddenly noticed that several strong chakras were approaching here, and the number was still quite large, which made him suddenly alert. It's Iwagakure, how can there be so many Iwagakure hateful? Are these Iwagakure aimed at me? While Kato Dan was alert, he soon found that Iwagakure was approaching his position, and felt that something was wrong. Iwagakure quickly noticed the existence of Kato Dan, especially Shifeng, and was even more stunned and cautious. It really is Kato Dan, his spiritual transformation. Everyone be careful, the Kato transformation is very strong. The general demonic illusion, ninjutsu and taijutsu have no effect on him, unless it is sealing and can directly attack the soul. Shifeng is very vigilant. Kato Dan has already used the technique of spiritualization, which is very tricky. When Kato Dan saw Iwagakure's surprise attack, he immediately started the attack, only to see a flash of white light from his soul, and he launched the attack directly. Struck, quickly approached an Iwagakure, and attacked directly. Doden, Earth style, the dirt wall. Iwagakure was jumped, hurriedly hand seal, intending to resist with Doden, Earth style. But Doden, Earth style, has absolutely no effect on the spiritualization technique. I saw Kato Dan's body pass through Doden, Earth style, and attacked. Immediately after seeing that Iwagakure's body splattered with blood, his body collapsed. Down. Even ordinary ninjutsu doesn't work for him. You all calm me down. Shifeng's angry voice came, and of course he knew that the technique of spiritualization was very difficult, so he repeatedly asked him. Shifeng and Iwagakure were both troubled by the spiritual transformation, but Kato Dan was like a duck, snorted coldly, and killed another Iwagakure in the blink of an eye, making Iwagakure feel a palpitating pressure. Too naive, in the state of spiritualization, how could you be my opponent? Kato Dan's tone is arrogant, but he does have the capital of arrogance. Kato Dan, who is in the state of spiritualization, is not afraid of the peak Jonin, and he does not pay attention to the Iwagakure in front of him. Kato Dan, don't underestimate us. Even if we can't do anything about you in a spiritualized state, we can imprison you. After all, Shifeng is also a peak Jonin, so he quickly calmed down and instructed the surrounding Iwagakure, prepare the 4 purple flame array. 4 purple flame formation. Chen heard the 4 purple flame formation in the distance and immediately understood. 4 purple flame formation is also a kind of enchantment ninjutsu that appeared in the original work. The 4 purple flame formation requires 4 people to release at the same time to generate a purple translucent wall, which will ignite everything that touches it. The 4 purple flame array can trap Kato Dan, which is also a way to deal with Kato Dan. Sure enough, Kato Dan's expression changed and he became a little nervous. These Iwagakure are pretty smart. They know how to deal with Kato Dan with enchantment ninjutsu. Well, the two sides should be deadlocked. I will go to Kato Dan's body first. Chen glanced at Kato Dan who was fighting with Iwagakure, and quietly went to the back of the battlefield, and Chen went to the cave alone. As long as Kato Dan's body is found, Kato Dan is doomed. Taking advantage of Kato Dan and Iwagakure's battle, Chen sneaks into the cave. I only saw that this hole was surprisingly large, with many twists and turns, extending in all directions, like a spider web. No wonder Kato Dan chose this place as a hiding place. Chen directly used Shadow Clone and sent Shadow Clone to various forks to find Kato Dan's body, and finally found it. Found it. Chen looked overjoyed. One of the Shadow Clones had already told him the information, so that Chen had found Kato Dan's body. Finding Kato Dan's body, Chen hurried to the fork cave where Shadow Clone was. He entered the cave. Chen saw a man lying on the ground with his eyes closed, as if he was asleep. It was Kato Dan. Kato Dan's body was finally found by Chen. The technique of spiritualization. The biggest weakness was also caught. It can be said that the technique of spiritualization has been cracked by him. Please subscribe. The body is recovering. I will update it. Please everyone supports. 85 Kato Dan, die. Please subscribe. Kato Dan's biggest reliance is the technique of spiritualization. As long as the technique of spiritualization is broken, it is not a problem. Now Kato Dan's body is in front of Chen, and Chen has the advantage. As long as Kato Dan's body is eliminated, Kato Dan will die. Chen took out the kunai from the ninja kit, ready to start. He wouldn't hesitate when it was time to start. Chen approached Kato Dan, and before he touched Kato Dan's body, he suddenly felt a chakra flowing under his feet, which made Chen slightly startled. This is a perception-type ninjutsu. It should be done by Kato Dan. He spreads chakra around. As long as the enemy is approaching, he can immediately detect it. Chen narrowed his eyes. This is a perception type of ninjutsu. Kato Dan is really cautious, and even has this skill. Sure enough, Kato Dan, who was fighting Iwagakure outside, immediately felt that something was wrong, and his face changed suddenly. No, someone is approaching my body. Hurry back to the cave. Damn, who is it? Kato Dan's expression changed sharply and became extremely flustered. He never thought that someone would approach his body, and the spiritualized soul rushed back. Who is it that dares to touch my body? Damn it, I must kill it, this guy. Kato Dan was furious, anxious and hated, and kept guessing who it was. What's the matter? The Iwagakure hurried back when they saw Kato Dan's complexion changing drastically. They all looked at each other, not knowing why. It must be Kato Dan's body. Something went wrong, otherwise he wouldn't be so nervous. Let's go over and take a look, but be careful, the other party might also have a master. Shifeng was also cautious and said in a low voice. Yes, Lord Shifeng. These Iwagakure nodded and followed Shifeng. It's a pity that the speed of Shifeng and others can't catch up with the speed of spiritualization. Because Kato Dan controls the passage of the soul, he can basically ignore any obstacles, and the speed is very fast. Almost in a few breaths, he arrives in the cave, getting closer and closer to Chen. Boy, Kato Dan is here, be careful. The 6 paths old man sensed the chakra that Kato Dan was familiar with and said immediately. Yes. Chen kept his composure. He moved his finger, and the kunai in his hand flashed, and directly attacked Kato Dan's body, creating a wound, and blood gushing out. At the same time, not far away, Kato Dan's soul felt a burning pain, a pain that ripped his soul, causing Kato Dan to scream. Damn, my body must have been attacked, otherwise it will be so painful. I have to return to my body quickly, or my soul will be directly destroyed. This time, Kato Dan was complete, speeding up the speed of his soul, and finally reached the fork in the cave and saw Chen's shadow in the distance. Of course, Chen also discovered Kato Dan's soul, and the secret voice came so quickly. The speed of the technique was so fast, it was really scary, and it would be annoying to fight the technique of spiritualization head-on. Uchiha-chan, you are actually framing me. Are those Iwagakure outsiders too? You have attracted such a deep scheming. You actually have the intention to kill me. I have long been strong, and I will kill you first. Kato Dan already had the intention to kill Chen, and when he saw Chen appearing in this cave, the enemy met Yuhi, and the anger in his heart was burning. At this time, he deeply regretted it. If he made the first move, and with his strength, Chen would only be a corpse. How could he have been reduced to the present? I can only blame you for being too stupid. Chen let out a light voice, but the kunai in his hand didn't stop, stabbed towards Kato Dan's heart, and the blood gushed out again. Kato Dan's soul weakened again, and he let out a scream again, feeling his life force drain little by little. But at this time, Chen has completely taken the initiative. Kato Dan is astonishing to find that facing Chen, he has no power to resist. Chen knows the spiritualization technique he is good at, and pushes him into the abyss step by step. That's right, Chen first analyzed the weakness of the spiritual transformation, and then dispatched Shadow Clone to pay close attention to his situation, and then used Iwagakure to fight Kato Dan, holding Kato Dan. In the end, I shot myself and killed Kato Dan. Every step, Chen thought about it, and pushed Kato-dan into a corner step by step. Even though Kato-dan is very strong, even though the magic of spiritualization is terrible, Chen still forced Kato-dan to the end. The current situation. Uchiha-chan, I am going to kill you. Kato-dan was also full of hatred and anger at this time, and was completely ignited by Chen, and he rushed towards Chen with a loud roar. Kato-dan's main body, at this time, has been seriously injured, and the power of the spiritual transformation has also been greatly weakened, but his heart is full, but he has the idea of trying to fight back before death, and wants to kill Chen. Kill me. Chen Chu did not panic. The kunai in his hand had completely pierced into the heart of Kato-dan's body, and then quickly escaped. Yongdun, Shunshu. Chen's figure was erratic, leaving an afterimage on the spot, and instantly dodged Kato-dan's attack. Chensuo Master's shunting technique is the young escape shunting technique personally taught by the old man Six Paths. The scope and speed of the instant body are very strong, and it is also the best in the instant body technique, and can naturally avoid Kato-dan's attack. Kato-dan, you can't kill me. Your body has been pierced through the heart by me, and no one can survive if the heart is pierced by me. Now your spiritualization technique has also been greatly weakened, and it cannot pose a threat to me. You lose. Chen said lightly. Chen is right, he has completely mastered the scale of victory, and now Kato-dan is losing. I'm not reconciled, I must kill you. Kato-dan roared unwillingly, but the white light of his body gradually faded, and the spiritualized soul gradually became completely transparent, and it was about to disappear. Kato-dan still wanted to struggle, but he was unable to revolving heaven, so he couldn't do anything at all. Good to go, no delivery. Chen said lightly, when Kato-dan is removed, he is also one less threat. Kato-dan's soul turned into a little white light and disappeared, and finally completely disappeared in this cave. Kato-dan, die. This chapter is a little late, I'm sorry. 86 I saw it all. Ask for a monthly pass, ask for an automatic. Kato-dan's soul gradually turned into a little white light and dissipated, his soul dissipated, and the magic of spiritualization was also lifted. Before dying, Kato-dan looked at Chen resentfully, but there was nothing he could do, he could only watch Chen's movements helplessly, his soul dissipated and his consciousness became blurred. Kato-dan is completely dead. Just leave his body in place. After getting rid of Kato-dan, a big confidant, Chen also breathed a sigh of relief, no matter what. Well, the threat of Kato-dan has been resolved. Kato-dan is obviously also moved to kill Chen, the two are either you die or I die. And Kato-dan's spiritualization technique is also very difficult to deal with, so Chen Kai thought of this method and killed Kato-dan in one fell swoop. So far it seems to be working fine. It's finally resolved. Chen let out a sigh of relief. Boy, those Iwagakure are here too. The Six Paths old man reminded Chen in his heart. Chen was slightly stunned, it seemed that Kato-dan abandoned the battle and entered the cave just now, and also led Iwagakure over. Chen frowned, feeling a little annoyed in his heart, Kato-dan is really, even if he dies, he will cause trouble for him. As soon as the old man of Six Paths finished speaking, he saw Iwagakure coming. The leader was Jonan Shifeng, the peak of Iwagakure, and there were 7 Iwagakure left. Originally Iwagakure had 10 people, but 3 people were killed by Kato-dan's spiritualization technique. I can't think of it. You guys in Konoha actually kill each other, I just saw them all. Shifeng brought Iwagakure up, with a disgusting smile on his lips, and his surprised eyes still stayed on Kato-dan's body. Shifeng waited for Iwagakure to arrive at the right time, and he clearly saw the last scene of Chen killing Kato-dan. This made Shifeng both surprised and surprised. In his opinion, Kato-dan was a very difficult enemy, and he was relieved to be killed by Chen now. However, the one who killed Kato-dan was also a ninja from Konoha, a teenager. And the young man in front of him, Shifeng, also knew the famous Uchiha Chen, Konoha's hottest young genius at present. Konoha's rising star actually killed Konoha's own peak Jonin. If this news spreads, I really don't know what kind of shock it will cause. Shifeng smiled mockingly, shook his head and said, it is said that Uchiha-chen is a Konoha genius, no matter what. Ingenuity, talent and strength are all first class, and I don't know if they can break through our siege. Quote. Faintly, the Iwagakure surrounded Chen, forming a circle. The situation was very unfavorable for Chen. Chen also frowned slightly. Boy, what should I do? Do I need the old man to help you? Asked the Six Paths old man. No, just a few Iwagakure. The way. There are masters at the peak Jonin level among them. Although Jonin is slightly weaker than Kato Dan, he is still a peak Jonin after all. The old man from Six Paths reminded Dao Shifeng that he was a ninja of the peak level of Jonin, and there were 7 Iwagakure around, so Chen was at an absolute disadvantage. It doesn't matter, I'm just going to try a ninjutsu that I've recently been studying to become a killer. Chen calmly said. The killer ninjutsu. The Six Paths old man was extremely curious, since Chen said so, he must be sure. Thinking of this, the old man Six Paths stopped talking, but observed Chen, looking forward to what kind of ninjutsu Chen used. Shifeng and the others have already surrounded Chen faintly. Uchiha-chen, this time you're only afraid that you won't be able to fly with your wings attached. Shifeng snorted softly, holding Kuudao in his hand. Chen smiled, and there was a hint of coldness in his eyes. I didn't plan to escape at first. Since you saw me killing Kato Dan, I can't let it. You spread it out, you all stay here. You want to kill us? As if he heard some funny joke, Shifeng laughed and looked at Chen sarcastically. I heard it right, no matter how talented you are still an elite Jonin, and you still want to kill us. From Shifeng's point of view, of course, he is sure to win, and he takes it for granted that Chen is uttering wild words, and he is very dismissive. Well then try it. Chen said lightly, his figure flickered suddenly. Be careful, it's a teleportation technique. Shifeng spoke out to remind him. Chen used the instant body technique from the very beginning. Chen learned the young escape shunshu technique, and along with the growth of his strength, he was no longer limited to using the shunshu technique 3 times a day, and could be used multiple times. Chen used the instant body technique, and his figure suddenly appeared in the back, and at the same time he threw out a dozen shuriken, and the detonating talisman was attached to the shuriken. Chen's shuriken technique has reached a superb level. Almost all of the dozen or so shuriken are shot out from the most bizarre angles, making it hard to guard against. Boom! Only hearing a loud explosion, Chen's shuriken technique instantly killed 2 Iwagakure, causing an explosion, while the other Iwagakure escaped the blow, but still had lingering fears. Back off, this kid's shuriken skills are amazing. You all resist with Doden, Earth style. Seeing that the 2 Iwagakure were killed in an instant, Shifeng was also sweating coldly on his forehead, and quickly reminded him. Blink of an eye, Chen killed both of them using the shuriken technique. Sir Shifeng, Uchiha Chen took advantage of this gap to escape. Iwagakure next to him hurriedly said. Come up, this kid is Konoha's genius ninja, he planned to destroy our Iwagakure camp last time. As long as we catch him, we will be a great achievement. Shifeng said viciously, he was careless just now, and was actually thrown by this kid. Yes. Chen just used the shuriken technique as a cover to leave the cave in an instant, not because Chen planned to escape, but because the terrain in the cave was too small, which affected his ability to play. Once outside, Chen felt like a duck to water. Shifeng and the remaining 5 Iwagakure also quickly caught up. Shifeng and Iwagakure were all vigilant. After being shocked by Chen's shuriken technique, Iwagakure became more cautious. Uchiha-chen, you can't escape. Shifeng bit Kiba and directed his subordinates, ready to attack Chen. As I said, I didn't plan to run away in the first place. Couldn't let go of my hands and feet just now, but I'm fine now. Chen said lightly, quickly hand seal, and prepare for ninjutsu. Ask for a monthly pass. Ask for an automatic. 87 I must kill you. Please, ask for a reward for monthly pass. Chen's killing of Kato Dan was seen by Shifeng and Iwagakure. Chen made up his mind that he must kill these people, otherwise it would be difficult to deal with the leak this time. Chen quickly hand seal, chakra surged, almost instantly. Kaden Fire Style, Fierce Dragon Flame Jutsu. Kaden Fire Style, Fierce Dragon Flame Jutsu. I only saw a large amount of chakra gathered in Chen's body, and it was highly compressed into the form of a flame dragon, and skillfully manipulated the flame dragon to attack the Iwagakure in front of him. Several fire dragons roared, divided into 6 fire dragons, and went towards Shifeng and the remaining 5 Iwagakure. HMPH, Kaden Fire Style, consumes a lot of chakra in an environment like the Land of Rain. They say you're a genius in Konoha, but that's not the case. Shifeng shook his head. Chen, the Kaden Fire Style, although powerful, was strong enough to defend. Kaden Fire Style is used in a rainy environment like the Land of Rain, which has no advantage at all. The power of Kaden Fire Style will be reduced, and it will also consume a lot of chakra. Doden Earth Style, the Dirt Wall. 5 Iwagakure use the Earth Flow Wall to resist Kaden Fire Style only to see the Flame Dragon composed of Fierce Dragon Flame Jutsu hit the Earth Wall, and a huge chi-chi sound broke out. The sound came out, and the white smoke followed. It was diffused, followed by a scorching black pungent smell. Humph! Doden Earth Style, Earth Dragon Bullet. Shifeng sneered and used ninjutsu, only to see that the surrounding soil formed a huge earth dragon. The earth dragon spewed mud bombs, and the huge mud bombs exploded, attacking Chen. The soil burst out, sprayed towards Chen, and even attacked towards Chen's body, and at the same time saw Chen's body torn apart, turned into crows and scattered. Is it a demonic illusion clone? It seems to be a demonic illusion clone that was already prepared. Where is his main body? Shifeng frowned, and the one who hit Chen was the demonic illusion clone, which made him very annoyed. This made him feel like he was being teased by Chen. At this time, Chen's voice suddenly emerged from the ground. Kaden Fire Style, Majestic Destroyer Flame, Great Fire Annihilation. Kaden Fire Style, Majestic Destroyer Flame, Great Fire Annihilation. Chen used the crow clone to create a demonic illusion clone long ago, and he released a Majestic Destroyer Flame, Great Fire Annihilation by hiding underneath. The power of the Majestic Destroyer Flame, Great Fire Annihilation is super strong. Only seeing Chen open his mouth and spit it out, as if he spit out a cloud of fire, the flames quickly gather and rise again. The strong flame seems to be able to swallow everything. Another big Kaden Fire Style ninjutsu. The temperature of the flame suddenly increased, and the air around it became a lot of heat, and some of the surrounding water vapor had already evaporated to dryness, and the flame curled up, soaring and whistling, blowing towards the face of the flames. He was taken aback. To be able to create such an escape in an environment full of rain, this Uchiha Chen is really amazing, but unfortunately it is Kaden Fire Style. If it were Raiden Thunder Style, or Escape Technique, Shifeng would be even more afraid. Doden Earth Style, Start Digging. Shifeng found that Chen was underground, so he used this ninjutsu. It is a very strong Doden Earth Style ninjutsu. It opens a crater in the ground and erupts mud. The impact of this ninjutsu is very strong, so Chen also feels the danger, and uses the instant body technique to dodge away. And Chen's Majestic Destroyer Flame, Great Fire Annihilation also raided at this time. The remaining 5 Iwagakure shouted at the same time, and used the Earth Flow Wall to block it. The Majestic Destroyer Flame, Great Fire Annihilation was resisted by Iwagakure. Shifeng breathed a sigh of relief and hummed, "Uchiha Chen, you have now been cornered by us, you are doomed. We have a total of 6 people here. If you use ninjutsu and shunjutsu continuously, the chakra will be exhausted soon, and then it will be your death." Chen has been using shunjutsu, Fierce Dragon Flame Jutsu, Majestic Destroyer Flame, Great Fire Annihilation and other ninjutsu continuously, and chakra really consumes a lot. However, Chen's chakra volume is very good, so it is not as serious as Shifeng imagined. Shifeng used the language to run on Chen, also intending to arouse the panic in Chen's heart, to make Chen be in chaos. Is it? Chen's expression was calm, and there was no trace of panic. Boy, are you sure you don't need the help of this old man? The old man of six paths asked again. Even the old man of six paths had some doubts. What method Chen intends to use to solve the current predicament? No need, old man, open your eyes and see clearly, this ninjutsu will surely surprise you. Chen said indifferently, still in the chest. The old six paths man shook his head, thinking to himself, what kind of ninjutsu is this kid going to use to be able to enter the six paths fairy eyes? Confidence makes six paths curious. HMPH, death is imminent. Stubborn, you all be careful with me, don't let him run away again. Shifeng snorted coldly and instructed his subordinates. Yes, my lord. The Iwagakure nodded, showing their obedience, and began to approach Chen one by one, while slowly shrinking the encirclement, ready to attack Chen at any time. On the other hand, Shifeng was guarding against Chen's escape by using ninjutsu such as shunjutsu, and he was fully prepared. The smile on the corner of Shifeng's mouth is getting bigger and bigger, and he has almost seen the scene of Chen falling into his hands. If he can really catch Chen, it will be a great achievement. I am afraid that even Lord Shiraito will reward him for noticing Shirai. Feng's thoughts, he laughed, and suddenly looked at the sky above his head. Well, this kid looked up at Tien. Shifeng noticed Chen's movements, and looked at the sky subconsciously, only to see a dark thundercloud floating above his head, with lightning and thunder, making a rumbling sound. Lei and Shifeng was a little unclear, so he didn't know what Chen planned to do. When Chen saw the thundercloud in the sky, a smile finally appeared on the corner of his mouth, and he said to himself, it's almost the end, it's not worth using so much Kaden fire style. With Kaden fire style, boy you did Kaden fire style on purpose. The six paths old man is very strange. Of course, I just used Kaden fire style to create updrafts, and then updrafts create cumulonimbus clouds, and then lightning strikes. Chen explained lightly. My ninjutsu is the Raiden thunder style mysticism formed by the use of thunder and lightning in the sky, so you should keep your eyes open, old man. Take advantage of lightning in the sky. The six paths old man was shocked, but saw that Chen had already started to move. 88 Raiden thunder style Kirin. Monthly pass. The old man of six paths was startled by Yu Chen's words, and saw that Chen had already started to move. Only to see Chen jumped high, jumped up, and instantly reached the sky using the telekinesis technique. His hands are also full of lightning, it is Chidori. Is it a Raiden thunder style ninjutsu? It looks like a normal super ninjutsu, so it's nothing to worry about. It's probably this kid's dying counterattack. Shifeng also noticed Chidori, but he didn't care too much. After all, Chidori looked strong, but he was just an ordinary ninjutsu, and he thought it was enough to handle it. But Chen smiled faintly, and his body leapt into the air like a god, looking down at Shifeng and the other 5 Iwagakure below. At this time, the thunder and lightning exploded in the sky, and the thundercloud erupted with a violent roar, and the thunder was deafening and rolling in. Boy, do you want to use the power of thunder and lightning in the thundercloud? The old man of six paths reacted immediately, and he was extremely stunned, and said something unbelievable. That's right, I'm going to use the power of lightning in nature to attack. This ninjutsu is released very fast, too fast to be avoided. Chen Xin communicated with the old man's six paths. The six paths immortal was silent and nodded secretly. If it was true as Chen said, this is indeed a terrible ninjutsu. The speed of lightning falling in the sky is less than 1,000th of a second, and the enemy is completely unavoidable. And how huge the energy of thunder and lightning in the thundercloud is. Once this energy is released, the terrifying degree will be self-evident. Raiden thunder style Kirin. Chen gave a low voice and used Chidori to guide the lightning in the thundercloud to change its shape. That's right, the trump card that Chen intends to use is the ninjutsu, Kirin, developed by Sasuke in the original book, which can be called the ultimate of Raiden Thunder-style ninjutsu. Between Chen waving his hand to guide the thunder and lightning, Chen opened the Sharingan of 3 Tomo. Because the speed of thunder and lightning is very fast, if you are not careful, it will shock yourself, so Chen uses the ability of Sharingan to complete this ninjutsu. In the black clouds, a giant beast formed of blue thunder and lightning roared. This giant beast composed of thunder and lightning was extremely majestic, with a head like a dragon. It made an angry roar in the cloud layer. The giant beast is more than 10 meters long, and it looks majestic and awe-inspiring in the thundercloud. This is no ordinary Raiden Thunder style, this is a terrible Raiden Thunder style created with thunderclouds. Fast, fast, avoid it all. When Shifeng saw this scene, he didn't know how terrifying this ninjutsu was, and immediately turned pale in shock, loudly reminding the surrounding Iwagakure. Chen shook his head. It's useless, you can't escape the scope of this ninjutsu, the time to strike a thunder is only 1/1000th of a second, and it is absolutely impossible to avoid defenses. Above Chen's head, Kirin roared and roared, his voice deafening, rolling down, and the scene was unforgettable. Although Shifeng reminded Iwagakure, the 5 surrounding Iwagakure were shocked to find that they couldn't move at all, and they didn't even have the courage to move. Is this young man the god of thunder? Even the thunder of nature succumbed to it. Under him, accept his control. It's terrible, although I want to run, but... Nt listened to my orders and couldn't move at all. The hearts of the Iwagakure were filled with despair and fear, and Kirin Thunderbolt was terrified. Shifeng was relatively calm, but he couldn't think of how to deal with the scene in front of him. Raiden Thunder-style Kirin. Chen did not hesitate to complete the final step of this ninjutsu, using Chidori to guide the lightning in the shape of Kirin, from top to bottom, to Shifeng and others. Iwagakure had nowhere to hide, watching this ninjutsu come down in horror. Angry Kirin mythical beast fell from the sky with an earth-shattering blow. The sky darkened. The surrounding rocks were all shattered into ashes. The trees around were turned into charred powder. The ground was dyed a pale black, and the pungent smell of coke spread. Like Thor's rage, destroying everything. Boom! Along with the violent thunder, Shifeng and other 6 Iwagakure all fell to the ground, unable to even defend themselves, and were instantly killed by this ninjutsu. The expressions of Shifeng and others before they died were still very stunned, as if they had never expected this result, especially Shifeng, who opened his mouth slightly before his death, his expression full of horror and disbelief. He always felt that he had the advantage, but he never thought that Chen would finally use such a ninjutsu. Chen subconsciously looked around. The area of nearly 100 meters was almost barren, dark and airy, full of the pungent smell of coke. Battle is finally over. Shifeng and other 6 Iwagakure were killed in this attack. Chen relied on Kirin to instantly kill a peak Jonin, plus 5 very strong Iwagakure. It can be said that the record is remarkable. Chen also breathed a sigh of relief, wanting to release Raiden Thunder style. Kirin conditions are very harsh, only with a thunder cloud. And Chen also used Kaiden Fire style plus the cloudy and rainy weather in the country of rain, to show this ninjutsu. Is not easy to guide and control Kirin, but relying on Sharingan to do it all the way. This ninjutsu is really scary. No wonder you have been using Kaiden Fire style to fight before. It seems that you planned to do it a long time ago, but the old man has been worrying about you. The 6 Paths Immortal said with emotion. Chen looked at the chaos around him and was very satisfied with the effect of his ninjutsu. The blow just now is like the power of the gods, the effect is too strong. This ninjutsu will definitely accompany you to become famous in the ninja world in the future. 6 Paths Fairy Road. Chen smiled. I hope so. A single blow, he killed 1 peak Jonin and 5 elite Iwagakure. This proud record makes Chen enough to be proud of. It's better to leave soon. Go to Minato first. Chen said lightly. Don't look for it, I sense the chakra of the Minato boy. You made such a big noise just now, and he was probably driven over by the alarm. 6 Paths Fairy Road. For all your support, Zigwa, Everyone's support is the biggest motivation of Zigwa Yazi. 89 The power of Kirin, the shocking Iwagakure. Minato is coming. Chen was slightly surprised, and when he looked up, he saw a figure swiftly approaching, one of whom had yellow blonde hair, which was Minato. Namikaze Minato quickly arrived in front of Chen. He saw the blackened earth around him, and the Iwagakure who fell on the ground. A look of shock flashed in his eyes, and it took him a while to calm down. Chen, it really was you who were fighting Iwagakure just now. Minato's figure flickered continuously, and finally came to Chen. I saw a huge thunder-type chakra in the sky just now. Is it the ninjutsu you released? Well. Chen nodded. It's really you. Minato just guessed that he happened to be nearby and saw the amazing scene of Raiden Thunder-style Kirin, and it was a devastating scene imprinted in his mind. Minato was shocked. All this really was actually done by Chen. It's me. It's not appropriate to stay here for a long time, otherwise Iwagakure will probably catch up. Let's retreat first. Talk while walking. Chen said lightly. Namikaze Minato was full of doubts and could only press down. Okay, I see. And Minato leave together in case any more Iwagakure approaches. Chen, that just now. Ninjutsu. When retreating, Namikaze Minato couldn't restrain his curiosity and couldn't help asking. That ninjutsu just now really impressed Minato too deeply, and it was deeply imprinted in the bottom of my heart. Chen, when did he learn such a mysterious and powerful ninjutsu? Namikaze Minato. He has always felt that he has made rapid progress. His current strength may be able to compete with the ordinary elite Jonin, but when he sees Chen's strength, he does not know what to say. What good? Regardless of. At some point, he was always one line behind Chen, and the gap seemed to be getting bigger and bigger. Just now, ninjutsu is a ninjutsu I developed by myself, called Raiden Thunder-style Kirin, which can use the power of thunder and lightning in the sky to attack the enemy. Chen explained simply. The name Raiden Thunder-style Kirin is really apt. The terrifying thunderbolt change just now is really like the legendary beast Kirin. Namikaze Minato's expression became more and more complicated, and he said secretly. Chen Dao, this time, the information obtained from spying is average. This is the site of the Iwagakure blasting force, but there are only about 100 people and 100 people. It is not a large force. Well. Minato nodded in agreement, and suddenly remembered something. Where's Kato Dan? Minato finally remembered that there was another Kato Dan that didn't show up. Chen said lightly, dead. What's the matter with death? Minato is very interested. He is also the pinnacle of Jonin, and he knows the ninjutsu of spiritual transformation, so he won't die so easily. Of course Chen wouldn't tell the truth, but simply said, Kato Dan was discovered by Iwagakure and besieged. Among them is 1 Iwagakure Jonin, and 10 Iwagakure elite ninjas. I rushed to the rescue, but was a step too late and was also besieged by Iwagakure, and had to use Raiden Thunder-style Kirin. Chen had already figured out why. Minato nodded knowingly, so it is. Minato had no doubts that he was indeed facing the threat of death at any time on the battlefield, and this was Iwagakure's camp. This time, Chen got rid of Kato Dan, killed another Shifeng, the peak Iwagakure Jonin, and 7 Iwagakure elites, and he consumed a lot. Immediately, Chen took out a 1 military ration pill to replenish his strength. Kato Dan is dead. It seems that Iwagakure is very strong here. We have to report to Tsunade and Orochimaru. Namikaze Minato rode. Well, of course. Chen nodded. The two people's bodies flashed, and they speeded up, preparing to return to Konoha's stronghold. After Chen and Namikaze Minato left, more than a dozen Iwagakure rushed to the scene one after another. The mess and the horror of being struck by lightning fell in their eyes, and they felt a burst of heart palpitations. Master Shifeng was actually killed, and there are 10 members of the blasting force. Konoha's peak Jonin Kato Dan also died. Who is the other party? It's terrifying. The power of the Raiden Thunder style just now made me shudder. The power far surpasses any Raiden Thunder style ninjutsu I've seen. Who is it? Iwagakure who came over saw the bodies of Shifeng and the others, and they all palpitated and shuddered just thinking about it. They know Shifeng's strength the most, the absolute peak Jonin, and he is also the sub-captain of the Demolition Force, and the right-hand man of the chief captain Shiraito. But now, not only Shifeng, but also 555 Iwagakure by his side, plus the previous Iwagakure, all of them have been killed. Judging from the traces of, and the terrifying Raiden Thunder style just now, it was someone who was killed. I only used one ninjutsu to kill, and I didn't even have the power to resist. Who is it? Although the Iwagakure did not participate in the battle, it did not hinder their imagination of galloping on the 8 poles. Thinking about it, they all turned pale and scared, and they felt more and more that Raiden Thunder style just now. Terrible Chen didn't know how much shock these Iwagakure were caused by his release of Raiden Thunder style Kirin. Chen and Namikaze Minato quickly evacuated from here, returned to the safe area, away from the battlefield. Then he dressed up again and rushed back to Konoha's stronghold. Konoha's base was still a long way from Tatsu and Minato, and after a long journey, they returned to the base. When Tatsu and Minato dragged their tired bodies back to the Konoha stronghold, Tsunade and the 3 of them were slightly startled, and immediately asked Tatsu and Minato about the situation this time. Truthfully, and explained the matter in general. After learning that Chen and Kato Dan were besieged by Iwagakure and the news of Kato Dan's death, Tsunade, Jiraiya, and Orochimaru were all shocked. Kato Dan's strength is good, and the magic of spiritualization is even more difficult. He was killed in this battle. Orochimaru frowned and sighed with emotion. Thank you for the dick, the blood sword demon Kun, and the watermelon of Kaiwu Zifeng. Thank you for your support. 90 shocked Sanin, white hot war. Tsunade, Jiraiya and Orochimaru were surprised by Kato Dan's death, but quickly accepted the result. It is normal for people to suffer casualties all the time in a war. It's just for the death of Kato Dan, everyone is inevitably a little side and side for a while. The death of a peak Jonin is indeed a loss to Konoha. Chen curled his lips at this. Kato Dan's death was entirely self-inflicted, and he would not let the threat remain. Kato Dan was besieged at the same time as you, how did you escape? The other party is all Iwagakure's masters, and one of them is the peak Jonin. Jiraiya looked at Shang Chen with some surprise and curiosity, and asked. At this time Namikaze Minato answered. Chen used a very strong Raiden Thunder-style ninjutsu, able to control the thunder and lightning in the sky, and killed all the ninjas including Iwagakure Peak Jonin Shifeng. What? Chen, you killed Peak Jonin and other Iwagakure? Tsunade's beautiful eyes widened suddenly, slightly stunned. Jiraiya stood up suddenly, clenched her fists, and opened her mouth. Only Orochimaru was calm, but he also frowned slightly, looking a little surprised. Obviously, Chen's performance was completely beyond their expectations. Minato is right, that's the truth. Chen rode. Tsunade looked at Chen with a hint of shock in his beautiful eyes. Killing the peak Jonin, the disciple of myself, is really becoming more and more unfathomable, and even I can't see through it. Tsunade thought to himself. Tsunade felt that Chen's strength should also be the elite Jonin, perhaps slightly stronger than the average elite Jonin. Chen's current performance is completely beyond her guess. Orochimaru was also slightly surprised. His eyes were always on Chen's body, and Chen's growth also surprised him. The genius of the Uchiha family, and those great eyes. Orochimaru was silent, his eyes flickered, and he didn't know what he was thinking. Jiraiya's mouth was slightly open, but she didn't react from the shock. This ninjutsu is my own trump card, otherwise this time is really dangerous. Chen said half-truth. The Tsunade 3 believed Chen's words, all nodded, and secretly said, this is reasonable. Presumably Chen should have mastered some kind of powerful ninjutsu, and there must be limitations, and it is likely to bring a lot of burden to the body. How did they know that the only condition for Chen's Raiden thunder style Kirin to use is thunder and lightning? As long as there is a when the thundercloud is there, he can use Chidori to provoke the thunder and release Kirin. And this ninjutsu still uses the power of big self-electricity, almost no need to consume chakra. What is the current situation of Tatsu, Minato, Iwagakure? Tsunade asked. And Minato recounted the information they had received, and the three Tsunade listened attentively, and finally nodded, approving the information from Tatsu and Minato. Although Iwagakure village was destroyed and replenished by us, it is still our great enemy. Now the war is deadlocked. Our vanguard units of Konoha and Iwagakure's vanguard units confronted each other, and neither side took advantage of it. Of course, mainly because Sunagakure and Omegakure haven't fought yet, we have. I was scruples, so I retained my strength. Tsunade wrote. Chen agrees with this. Tsunade is right. Rain can only be described as chaos, although with the help of Chen's strategy, Konoha first forced Sunagakure to retreat, and then destroyed Iwagakure's food and supplies. In fact, Chen knew that it was not the same at all. Konoha, Sunagakure, and Iwagakure are all superpowers in the ninja world, and the power of ninjas is not far behind. At present, although Konoha has the upper hand on the surface, neither Sunagakure nor Iwagakure have any real injuries, and they still have spare strength, but they are temporarily avoiding Konoha's edge. There is also the Land of Rain, which has been quiet all the time, more like a beast, lying dormant and waiting for an opportunity to rush forward and take a bite. Under such circumstances, the war has entered a white-hot stage. This ninja world war will not end so easily. In fact, this is also the case. Chen remembered that he had mentioned in the original work that this ninja world war lasted for a long time and had far-reaching effects. It will take a long time to end this war. During this time, my strength can be fully exercised. Chen secretly said in his heart. In the war, a genius like Chen is indeed the biggest winner. He has grown rapidly during this time. Only a few geniuses like Minato can barely keep up with him, and everyone else is left behind by him. Kato Dan's death, I need to report the third generation of Hokage-sama. In the same way, I will also record your merits for you. This time you have killed Jonin, the peak of Iwagakure, which is also a great achievement. Tsunade said softly. Chen shrugged, but it didn't matter. In war, in order to encourage ninjas to kill the enemy, there are still many rewards. The most common rewards are of course money and ninjutsu. Jonin like Chen has at least $2 million and a rank, the reward of ninjutsu. But now, Chen doesn't care about these rewards anymore. He doesn't need much money, and as for ordinary ninjutsu Chen, it's really inconspicuous. Soon, the news that Chen killed Jonin, the peak of Iwagakure, spread throughout the Konoha stronghold, and the ninjas in the stronghold were excited, and they respected Chen even more. The village of Iwagakure also quickly got the news, and Kiba gnashed his teeth, but there was nothing he could do about it. After reporting the situation with Minato, Chen went back to rest. After this battle, he was also exhausted. After this, the war continued. As Chen guessed and expected, the war entered a stalemate, and Sunagakure and Omegakure also entered the war again, and the four countries fought in melee, with each other winning and losing. And Naoki 3 simply formed a team to kill enemy ninjas on the battlefield. Chen's outstanding performance on the battlefield, his name spread more widely. In the midst of such a war, unconsciously, a year has passed for automatic subscription, which is very important to Watermelon, thank you. Thanks to Musha Lone Star Children's Shoes 1010 for the flower evaluation. 91 Back to Konoha. Please, ask for monthly pass, ask for reward. Time flies, and a year has passed. Chen, Minato, and Naoki are all 11 years old and have grown a lot. Chen's appearance has become more handsome, and ninjas are generally precocious. Chen looks more calm and sunny. At the same time, Chen is also like a duck to water on the battlefield, making rapid progress. The name, Konoha Rising Star, has made many enemy ninjas fearful and fearful. This day, Chen had just completed the mission and returned to the base's residence. Brother Chen. Got back to the base, I saw a figure rushing up. It was Conan. Conan has grown a lot taller, and has changed a lot from the slender and thin at the beginning. Her little face is Yuhi fluttering, her snow-white skin is crystal clear, and she blinks at Chen. Well, I'm back. Chen rode. I just finished the task and I'm very tired. I've put the bath water in. Conan is cute and takes credit. Chen showed a comfortable smile, patted Conan's head, and being able to take a hot bath after the mission was the greatest enjoyment. Thank you, Conan. Hee hee. The corners of Conan's mouth twitched in delight. After taking a bath, Chen felt comfortable all over. Brother Chen, let me massage you. Conan smiled lightly and Chen closed his eyes slightly, sighing inwardly. It's really corrupt, but he accepted Conan's massage. At the beginning, I didn't let Conan give me a massage, but now I'm getting used to it. Brother Chen has worked hard to perform the mission this time. Conan smiled sweetly and seeing Chen's comfortable appearance, he massaged harder. Chen smiled. Actually, it's very simple. The other party is a peak Jonin, and it was easily solved by me, Minato and Nawaki. Nawaki formed a team, and became famous on the battlefield, and also had a remarkable record. Chen and Conan were chatting, and when Chen was not around, Conan's attitude towards anyone was a little cold. Only in front of Chen is she like a lively little girl, chattering. Chen has tried many times to change Conan's cold personality in front of outsiders, but with little success, he can only give up. Thinking that Conan seems to have such a character in the original book, but only reveals his true character to those close to him. This seems to be good. Conan's smile, this beautiful scenery, basically only Chen alone can appreciate. Okay Conan, take a break too. Chen rode. Well, Brother Chen, I have learned a lot of ninjutsu recently, all taught by teacher Jiraiya. Conan lay obediently beside Chen, and talked about the recent situation. Chen smiled and squeezed Conan's cheek. The relaxing time passed quickly, and in the afternoon, Chen was summoned by a chunin, saying that Lord Tsunade invited him to come over. Rubbing his head, Chen got up from the couch reluctantly, and complained, "It's really a rest that doesn't make people feel at ease, there won't be any other tasks." Chen complained in exchange for Conan's smirk. Complaining a few words, Chen still quickly arrived at the conference hall of the camp, only to see Tsunade alone. Chen. Sit here. Tsunade waved his hand lightly, motioning for Chen to come and sit. Chen Yian sat beside Tsunade. Chen couldn't help but ask, "What's the matter with me?" "I'm here to convey news to you, the news of the 3 generations of Hokage-sama." Tsunade chuckled lightly. "Will there be another mission?" Chen pouted, but he wasn't disgusted by the task, but the continuous tasks made people feel powerless to complain. Tsunade shook his head and smiled, "Not a task, but a good thing." "Good thing." Chen's eyes lit up. "Well, Lord Hokage of the 3rd generation called you back to the village and said that you should go back to the village to rest for a while. I'm really envious, the 3 generations really care about you, more than my disciple." Tsunade laughed half-jokingly and half-heartedly. "Call me back to the village." Chen's heart moved. During this period of time, Chen also has not returned to the village for a long time. "Well, with you and me, let's go back to the village for a few days. This is specially approved by the 3rd generation." Tsunade rode. Chen was slightly surprised that he still returned to the village with Tsunade. Tsunade saw Chen's surprise and explained with a smile, "I am from the Senju clan, and there are some things in the clan that need to be dealt with." "So it is." Chen nodded clearly. "It's wartime, and we only have 7 days to rest, so we must go back immediately. You pack up, let's go now." Tsunade stretched his body, stood up, his slender figure, and the perfect body was imprinted in Chen's eyes, making Chen's heart skip a beat. Compared with Kushina, Makoto is a budding girl, and Tsunade's figure is obviously more attractive. After all, Kushina and Makoto are still young. Inadvertently caught a glimpse of Tsunade's almost perfect and proud curves, Chen couldn't help but reverie, and finally suppressed it. Got it. Chen replied, and went to pack up. Said to pack up, in fact, just told Conan, although Conan was a little reluctant, but knew that Chen was only away for 7 days, it was very understandable. To 2 friends, Minato and Nawaki, Chen left with Tsunade. The 2 of them walked all the way fast, but it was rare to be alone, chatting with each other, discussing ninjutsu and the current situation on the battlefield of the Kingdom of Rain. It was not boring. Chen is even more so, with such a beautiful woman as Tsunade, he can't ask for anything. 2 days later, Tatsu and Tsunade arrived in the territory of Konoha, near the village of Konoha. With Konoha in sight, Tatsu and Tsunade are in a good mood. Tsunade even smiled and said, "Chen, you are very famous in Konoha now. You are called a young hero by many people, and everyone regards you as an idol." Is there? Chen is strange. Of course, you'll know when you get to the village, and you'll be treated like a hero for sure. Tsunade said firmly. Chen kept walking, but he was looking forward to returning to the village even more. 92 Heroic Treatment. Soon, Tatsu and Tsunade arrived at the entrance of the village together. At distance, you can clearly see the outline of the village, the most iconic of which is of course the Shadow Rock from the first Hokage to the third Hokage. Chenjung sighed with emotion, suddenly narrowed his eyes, and found that the village entrance was crowded with people. So many people. Chen was a little surprised. The entrance to the village was indeed crowded with people, at least in the hundreds. Of course, the news of our return to the village was told to the whole village by the 3 generations of Lord Hokage. The people who come here are probably all to greet us. After all, you are now the young hero of Konoha. Must be popular. Tsunade laughed. Chen couldn't help but be stunned. I really became a hero. Chen touched his chin, and the battlefield is the best place to. Reputation, anyway, this is not a bad thing for Chen. The more famous he is now, some guys in the village who intend to plot against him, such as Danzo, will be more cautious about him, but will not dare to act rashly. After all, he is the hero of Konoha now. Chen and Tsunade walked to the entrance of the village. They heard deafening cheers from both sides. Uchiha Chen, Uchiha Chen, Uchiha Chen. Tsunade-sama, Tsunade-sama, Tsunade-sama. Cheers continued, and what surprised Chen was that Tsunade's words were really not bad at all, and his popularity was not inferior to Tsunade, even among young people. In fact, the reason why Chen's popularity is so high is very simple. Although Chen's strength is not as good as Tsunade's for the time being, his deeds are full of legends. Besides, Chen is only 11 years old, but he has achieved many legendary deeds and great fame. This is extremely rare in Konoha history. Therefore, Chensai is highly regarded and regarded as a hero and idol by many people in Konoha, especially young people. Well, it's good to be a hero, right? Tsunade smiled and patted Chen's shoulder. Chen blinked his eyes. Of course he was in a good mood. It was really great to be surrounded by everyone and cheering his name. Chen's mood also became more comfortable. Next, Chen's eyes moved slightly, and he noticed that there were many acquaintances among the people who welcomed him on both sides. Example, Mr. Shirakawa from the ninja school, as well as Akamichi Choza, Yamanaka Inoichi, Nara Shikaku, etc. And Aburame Shimi, who has always been weak in the previous ninja school class, is the father of Aburame Shino in the original book. Chen. Akamichi Choza waved his arms and greeted Chen excitedly. After a long time no see, Akamichi Choza became even fatter. He happily welcomed Chen, shouting, "It seems that all your companions have come to look for you, so I will not join you anymore. Go to the clan of the Senju clan, and come to you when you are about to leave the village." Tsunade said loudly. Chen nodded. No problem. Tsunade's figure flashed, and he had already left, but he continued to enjoy the hero's treatment where he was. Words like, great, Konoha's hero, Uchiha's genius, can be heard everywhere, and everyone is praising Chen. Being praised all the time, Rao Shichin's face can't stand it, so he simply asks Akamichi Choza for a solution. Surround. Choza. Chen stepped forward and greeted Akamichi Choza. Chen, you have changed a lot, and you are much taller than me. During this time, I have often heard your name and good news. It is really amazing. Akamichi Choza said excitedly. Chen smiled and said, Choza, they changed a lot, well, you've gotten a little fatter. Akamichi Choza had a lifeless look on his face, staggered under his feet, and almost vomited blood. Behind the fatter, I have to add some more, how fat am I? No, I must lose weight. Akamichi Choza resentful. Ha ha. Next to Nara Shikaku, Yamanaka Inoichi are all laughing. Chen, your performance on the battlefield is really good. By the way, we have also asked the 3 generations of Lord Hokage for instructions. It is estimated that it will not be long before you can enter the battlefield. At this time Nara Shikaku laughed. The combination of Ino Shikacho will also go to the battlefield. Chen nodded secretly, thinking about it too. Now that Nara Shikaku and others are not too young, it is indeed time to go to the battlefield. The combination of Ino Shikacho will surely shine brightly on the battlefield. One high-profile name after another is about to rise. This is the real ninja war. Well, Shikaku, you have to take good care of Choza and Inoichi, you are the most calm of the 3. Chen smiled and said a few words, and Nara Shikaku and the others all nodded yes. Chen, let's go eat barbecue together, it's boring to stay here. Akamichi Choza immediately suggested. It's free to eat barbecue. I don't think Chen can eat barbecue with us today. Nara Shikaku laughed. Akamichi Choza doesn't know why. What's wrong? Look. Nara Shikaku pointed forward. Chen also followed and saw 2 familiar figures. It was 2 girls. A young girl with long black hair, gently rolled up, showing a piece of the lotus arm that bullies Sai Shui, holding a bento, with a bit of expectation on her face and Yuhi dizzy, she walked quickly. The other girl has Huo Yuhi's long hair, blinking bright star eyes, walking briskly, showing her inner happiness. This girl also has a bamboo basket in her hand, which is full of food. 2 girls seemed to be late because they were preparing food. They were in a hurry. When they saw Chen's figure from a distance, they were slightly startled, and then their eyes showed surprise, and they involuntarily quickened their pace. Seeing the 2 girls, Chen couldn't help softening a little, and a smile appeared on the corner of his mouth. 2 teenage girls are of course Uchiha Makoto and Kushina. It turns out that Kushina and Makoto are here, so Chen must be out of time. Akamichi Choza nodded immediately, with a knowing, I understand, look. Chen didn't bother to pay attention to Akamichi Choza's teasing, and put his mind on Makoto and Kushina. After not seeing for a long time, the 2 girls became more beautiful, and instantly attracted Chen's attention. Subscription to 93 Girls' Feelings Are Always Poems. Ask for an automatic monthly pass. Ask for a reward. Brother Chen. Chen's eyes were focused on Makoto and Kushina, and the 2 girls also trotted all the way, like a bird returning to its nest to Chen's side. Makoto. Chen nodded to Uchiha Makoto's little nose and chuckled lightly. Brother Chen, Kushina and I have made a lot of bento. Knowing that you are coming back, we got up early today to make food. Makoto smiled lightly, as if asking for credit. Chen looked to the side of Kushina. Kushina also nodded with a wink, and her star eyes were even brighter and moving. I'm so envious, as expected of my idol in life. Akamichi Choza touched his chin and muttered to himself. Yamanaka Inoichi was speechless and said to Nara Shikaku, Shikaku, you don't talk about Choza, this guy's thinking is too much. Who would have thought that? Nara Shikaku nodded in agreement, agreeing with Akamichi Choza's point of view. Choza is right, Chen is indeed an idol in life, a role model for my generation, and a goal we should learn from. Yamanaka Inoichi's mouth twitched and he was speechless. When Kushina and Makoto arrived, Chen rudely left Akamichi Choza and others with Kushina and Makoto. Brother Chen, you have become more and more handsome. Makoto blinked and smiled slightly with yuhi on his face. Just your sweet mouth. Chen squeezed Makoto's nose and smiled. Makoto stuck out his tongue, smiled at Kushina next to him, and rolled his eyes. Kushina said, "We made a bento for you, you haven't eaten yet, you have to finish it." "Yeah, that's what we did when we got up early." Makoto also laughed. Chen looked at it and saw that both Makoto and Kushina brought out the food. Makoto made kimbap, the material was exquisite, and it was very appetizing. And Kushina is the ramen she is good at, which is rich in ingredients and contains many mountain treasures, which is extremely delicate. Seen that the girls are carefully prepared, otherwise they would not have started doing it in the morning. "Don't worry, I'll eat it all." Smile appeared at the corner of Chen's mouth. This was what Kushina and Makoto wanted, and of course he liked it. Chen and the two women left, the three of them found a secluded place to sit down, and then Chen began to eat in big mouthfuls, and quickly swept away the food brought by the two women. Empty. Makoto and Kushina were very satisfied when they saw him like this, holding their chins and smiling. "Chen, I've been hearing about you recently, it's really amazing. It's a pity that I also want to go to the battlefield, but the three generations don't agree." Kushina clenched a small fist. Kushina's talent and strength are very strong. Among Konoha's peers, Jichin and Minato, her personality is also straightforward and neat, and she has always wanted to go to the battlefield. Chen Wenyan smiled. He knew that the three generations would definitely not agree to let Kushina on the battlefield. Kushina is the future Kyuubi, Nine-Tails Jinchuriki column force, and is an important weapon. In the village, the three generations will definitely not let Kushina there are any misses. Kyuubi, Nine-Tails Jinchuriki column Lycan squinted his eyes and counted the time. The last Kyuubi, Nine-Tails Jinchuriki column Lee was Uzumaki Mito. Uzumaki Mito is also old. Maybe soon after I'm going to replace Jinchuriki column force with Kushina. Thinking of this, Chen felt a coldness in his heart, and it seemed that he wanted to find a chance to talk to the three generations, and he had to change Kushina's fate. Maybe the third generation recalled himself this time because of this reason. "What have you been looking at me for?" Staring at Kushina in deep thought, making Kushina misunderstood, and gave Chen a slight glare. If it were someone else, Kushina would have stared at her fiercely long ago, but if Chen looked at her like this, Kushina had only shyness and a hint of sweetness in her heart. "Kushina is getting prettier too." Chen smiled. Kushina heard the words, her bright eyes shone even more, and her eyes became sparkling. Makoto next to him immediately pouted. "What about me, what about me?" Chen saw Makoto like this, he couldn't help but have a headache, but he could only say, "Makoto too, she's getting more and more beautiful." Getting the answer he wanted, Makoto was satisfied, raised his snow-white chin, and smiled. Seeing the expressions of Kushina and Makoto, Chen couldn't help but think of a sentence, "A girl's feelings are always poetry." Chen could clearly feel the feelings of the two girls. Kushina and Makoto have been with Tatsu since childhood. Makoto is a childhood sweetheart, while Kushina is in the same Jonin class as Tatsuya. With Kushina and Makoto for a while, both Kushina and Makoto were very excited, chatting non-stop, telling Chen all the big and small things that happened in the village these days. Speaking of the end, the three of them looked at the sunset together and leaned against each other gently. Stayed with Kushina and Makoto for a long time. Chen then smiled. "Let's go, it's time to go back." "Oh yes, I almost forgot, the owner told you where to go after you come back." Makoto raised his forehead, patted his head, and said a little annoyed. Chen smiled and rubbed Makoto's head. "You little confused." Makoto smiled cutely, pulled Kushina and said, then let's go. Chen is also very relieved to see that Kushina and Makoto have such a good relationship. The two girls are surprisingly compatible, and they are two good sisters. Chen soon returned to Uchiha's clan. Watermelon, thank you for your support. Please be automatic. Please subscribe. Please all la la la. I heard that people who ordered automatic subscriptions are very handsome. 94 Uchiha's pride, Chen's engagement. Ask for monthly pass. Chen arrived at Uchiha's clan. He saw a genin from Uchiha who came to lead the way. He bowed his head respectfully towards Chen and said, Lord Chen, the head of the family has invited me, please come with me. Good. Chen nodded and waved at Kushina and Makoto, indicating that the two girls should play by themselves. Kushina and Makoto stuck out their tongues at the same time, lively and playful. Chen followed this genin to the courtyard. Genin knocked gently on the door and whispered, Patriarch, Lord Chen is here. Please come in. Chen heard the slightly low voice of Uchiha Ming. Genin motioned to let Chen in. Chen nodded and entered, and saw the environment inside the house. Antique, almost all wooden furniture. In the middle is the family emblem of the Uchiha family, and Uchiha is sitting in front of a table with 2 cups of steaming tea on it. The pride of our Uchiha family is back. Chen, sit down. Uchiha smiled heartily and made an inviting gesture. Uchiha Ming was obviously very satisfied with Chen's achievements during this period, and directly called Chen, the pride of the Uchiha family. It was enough to prove that he valued Chen very much. Thank you, master. Chen sat down with a smile. Uchiha Ming has always been kind to him. The two chatted for a while, and Uchiha asked Chen a lot about the recent situation before getting to the point. Chen, you have performed very well during this period. I have received many good news about you. The 3 generations of Hokage also praised you. The people in the village regard you as a hero. You are indeed the pride of our Uchiha family, and you deserve it. Uchiha grinned. Chen behaved very modestly. The owner of the house has won the prize. This time, it was recalled by the 3rd generation of Hokage. Well. Chen nodded. Chen also knew that the 3 generations must have something important to recall him this time. Uchiha pondered, as if thinking about something. Suddenly Uchiha smiled and said, by the way, do you remember what we discussed last time? Chen does not know why. The matter of your engagement with Makoto. Chen Yi was stunned, and then he remembered that Uchiha Ming had verbally promised him and Makoto's engagement last time. It seemed that only the 2 of them knew about it, not even Makoto. Patriarch, I'm still young, don't worry. Chen shrugged. Although he also likes Makoto very much, the problem is that he is only 11 years old now, so he is not in a hurry. Other hand, Uchiha Ming seemed to want to settle this matter. Chen vaguely understands Uchiha Ming's thoughts. Uchiha Ming is also trying to win over himself, and wants to make himself feel more belonging to the Uchiha family. Uchiha Ming attaches great importance to a genius like Chen. Uchiha Ming smiled. No, Fugaku is already preparing for marriage, and he is also a woman in the clan. Uchiha Fugaku is about to get married soon. Chen heart silently made Uchiha rich. Poor child, it is really sad to be arranged marriage. Uchiha Fugaku is 4 or 5 years older than Chen and Makoto, and he is also the son of the head of the family. It's normal to get married early. Don't worry, I'm not saying that you and Makoto should get married now. After all, it's wartime, and you're Anbu's person, and you need to go to the battlefield at any time. Look at this, I'll tell that girl Makoto about it first, and I'll also let several elders in the clan be witnesses together, and you will get married when the war is over. Uchiha Underworld. That's true, and that's not unacceptable. Chen nodded and said, no problem. Uchiha seemed to think of something suddenly, and gave a narrow smile. Okay, but I heard that the little girl from the Uzumaki family also likes you very much. She is really young. Blue, if you have the ability, Chen, I don't mind adding another good thing. Chen coughed, not expecting Uchiha Ming to bring this matter up. But Kushina's matter should really be resolved. Since you agree, I'll talk to that girl Makoto. Uchiha Ming took a sip of tea and said with a smile. Chen felt more and more strange. How could the head of the dignified Uchiha family become a matchmaker? Seeing Chen nodding, Uchiha became resolute. Chen went outside to wait first, then Uchiha Ming summoned Makoto. Makoto entered Uchiha Ming's room with doubts. The little girl wondered why the owner of the house suddenly summoned her but waited for Uchiha Ming to tell her her intention, after learning that she had a marriage contract with Chen. Makoto is Shafei's cheeks, her face yuhi, full of shyness and joy. What Uchiha said next, she couldn't listen to a word. She only knew about her marriage contract with Chen, only knew that she was dizzy nod. Makoto was still a little shy and dazed until he came out of the master's room. Makoto. Chen shook his hand, only to see Makoto meet Chen suddenly, his face still recalling what Uchiha had said just now, and Yuhi was completely swept away with a swipe on his face. Brother Chen, me. Makoto was a little overwhelmed and became flustered, heart pounding like a deer, secretly thinking that Brother Chen seems to know what happened between us. What should I say? Silly girl, the owner of the house has already told you. Chen rode. Well. Makoto's voice was like a mosquito, and his face became more yuhi. Chen felt cute, pinched Makoto's face, and smiled. Looking at you, I don't seem to want to. No, who said that? Makoto immediately raised his head and refuted it quickly, but seeing Chen Zhaozhao's expression, his face became more yuhi. You, big bad guy. Chen laughed, took Makoto's hand, and asked her what Uchiha told her about the specific situation, which was probably similar to what Chen knew. At this time, Kushina had already returned, leaving only Tatsu and Makoto. Makoto agreed that the next thing would be much easier to handle. Under the witness of the patriarch Uchiha Ming and the three virtuous elders of the Uchiha clan, Chen and Makoto performed a simple ceremony, simple but solemn. The relationship was officially settled, and there was a marriage contract. Chen took Makoto's little hand, and when he saw Makoto's cute appearance, he suddenly felt a different kind of feeling in his heart. Subscribe _______________. 95 promoted to Captain Anbu. The draw of 3 generations. Ask for everything. Before holding Uchiha Makoto's little hand, Chen didn't feel much, but now she is holding Makoto. Makoto, Kushina, Konan are all his closest people in this world. And Makoto now has a marriage contract with him, which is obviously even more different. The same is true for Makoto. She only felt that there was a deer in her heart, thumping and jumping, and she was so lively on weekdays that she didn't know what to say, so she could only stare at Chen. It was the first time I saw such a cute Makoto. Chen couldn't help but smile, thinking she was cute and pity, squeezed Makoto's little hand, and then looked at Uchiha Ming and others. Uchiha Ming and the 3 elders of the Uchiha family nodded with satisfaction. Very good, the ceremony is completed, your engagement contract is officially set from today, and we will tell the clan. When this ninja war is over, you can hold the wedding, really a golden boy and a girl. Chen said politely, and then heard Uchiha say again, Chen, you will stay in the village for a few days. Before that, you can hurry up and practice some of my Uchiha family's ninjutsu and demonic illusion. Good. Chen's eyes lit up. Uchiha's Kaden fire-style ninjutsu, Chen basically has learned almost. Chen intends to learn more demonic illusion and use it in battle. It is very powerful. Well, if you have any questions about ninjutsu, you can always ask the 3rd elder for advice. I won't bother you young people anymore. Uchiha gave a faint smile, and after a few words of encouragement, Chen Yi agreed. After that, Uchiha Mei left with the 3 elders. Chen still held Makoto's little hand. At this time, Makoto whispered in doubt, Brother Chen, we have made a marriage contract, what about Kushina? Chen Yi was stunned, and her eyes turned softer towards Makoto. This girl is really kind. and she was still thinking about Kushina at this time. Chen Dao, don't worry, I have arrangements, Kushina will be with us. Makoto nodded obediently, and pouted quietly with jealousy. Chen looked amused and touched her head. Okay, let's go. Well. Chen dragged Makoto around for a while. Makoto wanted to go shopping, so Chen had to accompany him. Makoto bought a lot of things on the street. She was lively and cheerful, and her laughter was like a silver bell, which shows how good the little girl's mood is. Finally finished shopping, Chen was tired for a day, and also rested. The next day, Chen immediately went to the cabinet of the Uchiha family, found many scrolls of ninjutsu and demonic illusion, and began to specialize in ninjutsu and demonic illusion. Chen's strength is very good now, and he doesn't like the general ninjutsu and demonic illusion in the Uchiha family's cabinet. Fortunately, there is also the old 6 paths pointing from the side, and Chen also saved a lot of trouble. Old Man 6 Paths is a mobile encyclopedia of ninjas. Boy, the ninjutsu you need right now isn't much, so ninjutsu like Kirin is good as a killer. Although Kirin is strong, it is a ninjutsu with ranged strikes, and requires a thunder realm to use it, so the conditions for using it are a bit harsh. The Old Man 6 Paths analyzed. Chen also agrees. Well, I plan to study demonic illusion more as a trump card. Very good. In the following time, Chendu devoted himself to the study of ninjutsu. Makoto and Kushina are like virtuous little wives, bringing him food on time every time, letting Chen concentrate on demonic illusion. Under such circumstances, Chen also made progress at last. Chen could continue to study ninjutsu. Someone came to disturb him. A genin from Uchiha's family came to inform Chen, Lord Hokage of the 3rd generation is invited. Finally here, Chen secretly said in his heart, this time the 3 generations recalled him to the village, there must be something to look for him. The 3 generations have not made any movement for the past 2 days, and finally sent someone to look for him today. Chen packed up for a moment, and quickly headed towards the Hokage building. By a ninja, Chen quickly reached the Hokage building and knocked on the door. Please come in. 3 generations of low voices sounded. Chen walked in, and saw the 3rd generation of Hokage wearing a Hokage cloak, smoking a pipe, flipping through a lot of documents on the table, frowning. It's Chen, sit down. 3 generations looked up to see Chen, and finally showed a smile, and asked Chen to take a seat. Have seen 3 generations. Chen rode. Chen didn't salute very seriously. The 3rd generation Hokage waved his hand and didn't take it seriously. He smiled and said, it's rare to come back to the village once. How does it feel that you are a hero in the village? It feels good. Chen smiled and said, but in his heart he was trying to figure out the intention of the 3 generations to call him here. The 2 chatted for a while, and the 3 generations sighed with emotion. In these days, you have made many contributions to the village. First forcing back Sunagakur, destroying Iwagakur's food, and then repeatedly killing the masters of Iwagakur and other countries. I've heard that many people on the battlefield refer to you as Konoha's rising star, and you really deserve it. Award. Chen said calmly. Chen, you are excellent. I have decided to promote you to the captain of Anbu. If there is any emergency in the future, you can report to me directly. 3 generations of Hokage rode. Was promoted to Anbu's captain, moved in his heart. Anbu's captain is not so easy to be. Hokage's direct subordinate Anbu belongs to Hokage's confidant, and Captain Anbu is the confidant of the confidant. Anbu has 1 captain in total, White Fang. There are also 2 captains under the general captain. It can be said that apart from Anbu's chief captain White Fang, the biggest among Anbu is the captain. Chen secretly curled his lips. It seems that the 3 generations of Hokage really wanted to win over him, and he kept pouring out his blood. However, Chen does not refuse anyone who comes. Anyway, he has not broken with Konoha yet, so of course he has to take it if it is good. Thank you 3 generations. Chen rode. Well, this is what you deserve. One more thing, I heard that you and Uzumaki Kushina get along very well. She is the candidate for the next Kyubi, Ninetales Jinchuriki column force in the village. I don't know what your relationship is. 3 generations asked. Come, Chen secretly said. The 3rd generation asked him to come this time. It really was because of Kushina. Kyubi, Ninetales Jinchuriki column force. The matter is little known, but it is not a secret. In the original book, basically the entire Konoha people know that Naruto is the Kyubi, Ninetales person Jinchuriki column force. Therefore, the 3 generations did not shy away, and directly asked Chen. Ask for monthly pass. Watermelon, thank you for your support. 96 You only have 2 years. Please ask for a reward, ask for an automatic monthly pass. The direct question from the 3 generations of Hokage, Chen pondered and said truthfully, Kushina is the person I like. A complex color flashed in the eyes of the 3rd generation, and the pipe in his hand trembled slightly. Sure enough. 3 generations couldn't help but have some headaches. Chen is a member of the Uchiha family, and some high-level leaders in the village, led by Danzo, have a deep misunderstanding and hostility towards the Uchiha family. However, Kushina is a candidate for the Jinchuriki column force prepared by the village, and is one of the most important fighting forces in the village. The Uchiha family and the Kyubi, Ninetales people Jinchuriki column are doomed to not be able to combine. Otherwise, wouldn't Uchiha possess the Kyubi, Ninetales Jinchuriki column power? And it is said that the Sharingan of the Uchiha family can hypnotically manipulate Kyubi, Ninetales people Jinchuriki column force together. Danzo, Homura Mitokado and others in the village all hope that Kushina will become a Kyubi, Ninetales person Jinchuriki column force as soon as possible, and I have temporarily suppressed it. The 3 generations said lightly. Chen's heart moved, and he let out a sigh of relief. But at present, the body of Kyubi, Ninetales Jinchuriki column force, Uzumaki Mito, is deteriorating, and I'm afraid it won't last for too long. At most 2 years, Kyubi, Ninetales Jinchuriki column force must be replaced. 3 generations of Hokage said lightly. Chen Yilin, it seems that time is running out. 3rd generation of Hokage is showing goodwill to Chen and temporarily suppressing the matter of Kushina, but he clearly told Chen that it will not be delayed for long. Chen Wei pondered. 3 generations, I don't want Kushina to become the Jinchuriki column force of Kyubi, Ninetales. I think there are other people in the village who are Jinchuriki column force candidates. Kyubi, Ninetales Jinchuriki column power is such an important thing, and even directly related to Konoha's safety. Chen can't believe that only Kushina is the only candidate, otherwise what would happen if Kushina had an accident? This kind of thing should be double insurance, anyway. There are other people, Jinchuriki column, who can be candidates, and one of them is also a member of the Uzumaki clan, a girl named Uzumaki Emi. But Kushina is the first choice. The 3 generations simply explained. Because Kushina's chakra is the strongest, it is easier to restrain the master's Kyubi, Ninetales power. Chen's eyes lit up, and it would be easier if there were other options. In this way, as long as the replacement, the person Jinchuriki column force can be selected. Chen secretly said in his heart, but he also knew very well that this matter was not so simple, and the choice of a person for Jinchuriki column force could be changed by exchange. At least Danzo and the others would definitely not agree easily. 3 generations of Hokage looked at Chen with a wry smile. I didn't expect you and Kushina to have such a close relationship, but now Danzo and the others have made up their minds to make Kushina a human Jinchuriki column force. Chen nodded. The most troublesome part of the matter was getting Danzo and other Konoha executives to change the mind of the Jinchuriki column force candidate. And the 3 generations seemed to be on their side. Put it bluntly, strength. Chen's current strength is still a little weak. If he can have the support of Cage Level and Uchiha clan, it may change the current status quo, and Danzo will not provoke him because of this kind of love. You can solve this matter yourself, you only have 2 years. 3 generations of Hokage rode, what he can do. It's just procrastination. After all, he is the third generation of Hokage, although he is optimistic about Chen and wants to help win over Chen, but he will not joke about the safety of the village. Well. Chen nodded and accepted the 3 generations' favor. Anyway, the current 3 generations are not bad for him. The 3 generations still want to maintain the peace of the village, and they also attach great importance to Chen. Very well, then you can report to Anbu first. I have already told White Fang about promoting you to Captain Anbu. 3 generations rode. Chen expressed his understanding and got up quickly. After leaving the Hokage building, Chen thought about it, but did not go to Anbu immediately, but found Kushina first. When Kushina saw Chen, she jumped for joy, hugged Chen's arm, and said with a smile, "Chen, how could you think of coming to me? Can't you?" Chen smiled backhand and pinched Kushina's nose. Kushina pouted, patted Chen's hand, and hummed, "You better go to Makoto." Kushina was a little jealous and pouted quietly. "I went to the 3rd Hokage just now, and he told me that you're going to be a human Jinchuriki column force." Kushina's body froze slightly in his arms, looked at Chen and said, "You already know that." "Well. I am a member of the Uzumaki family, and I am born with strong chakra, so I was chosen to be the Jinchuriki column force of Kyubi, 9 Tails. I've seen Mito-sama, but I'm a little scared." Kushina speaks intermittently, but it is obvious that she is afraid of being a Jinchuriki column force. Kushina is just a teenage girl, and of course she is still a little worried and frightened about the future of Jinchuriki column force. "Rest assured, I'll find a way. You won't become a Kyubi, 9 Tails Jinchuriki column force, I promise." Chen rode. "Really?" Kushina raised her head sharply, her bright eyes looking at Chen. "Of course, don't worry, just trust me." Chen said lightly, "Give me a period of time, and I will make no one in the village dare to attack you." Between Chen's words, there was a faint chill, as if he meant something. The 3 generations gave Chen 2 years, but Chen obviously did not intend to use such a long time. Kushina didn't think too much, but felt an unprecedented sense of security and nodded vigorously. Kushina liked this. Chen only felt that Little Pepper still had such an indescribably cute side, so he smiled and pinched her cheek. Kushina glared at Chen lightly, with a bit of a fierce look from the Little Pepper. But immediately, Kushina's complexion softened quickly, and she said a little coquettishly, "Chen, it's good to have you here." "Thank you." Automatically, everyone's support is the biggest motivation for my codewords. 97.3 Tomo's strongest demonic illusion. Ask for a monthly pass, ask for a reward automatically. Kushina Yuhi grinned and whispered, "You will go to the battlefield in a few days. I will wait for you to come back with Makoto." This sentence seems to be a great determination and courage, no different from a confession. Even Kushina's face is full of Yuhi. "Well." Chen also nodded vigorously, feeling the intention of the girl in his arms. Chen and Kushina were warm for a while, then Chen left. When parting, Kushina was obviously reluctant to part, which made Chen-Kan's heart warm, and felt that this girl was cute. "Stinky boy, you actually locked the old man in the ring space again." He left. Chen heard the complaints of the Six Paths Fairy, and the angry voice of Six Paths came. Chen and Kushina were warm just now. Chen directly closed the old man of Six Paths in the small dark room, and locked it in the ring space. "Of course, how old are you, old man? Do you want to eavesdrop on our junior's love words?" Chen pouted. "Who said the old man eavesdropped? You are slandering. Will the old man do this?" "Who knows?" Chen and the old Six Paths quarreled again and again, and Chen returned to the Uchiha tribe, but there was a sense of urgency in his heart. "Must improve your strength quickly, so that you can compete with Danzo and others. At present, my killer is Raiden Thunder style Kirin ninjutsu, but Kirin is too dependent on the combat environment and needs Thunder Cloud to release. I have to learn other great ninjutsu or demonic illusion." Chen pondered for a while, thinking of some demonic illusions he had found in Uchiha's cabinet earlier. Well, boy, you were right. I think you should focus on demonic illusion. Sharingan is your strongest weapon. The old man Six Paths pointed. Chen smiled and nodded. I was planning to learn demonic illusion, and it happened that I also saw a demonic illusion suitable for my cultivation in the clan cabinet. It can be said that it is the strongest demonic illusion among the 3 Tomo Sharingan. Oh, what demon illusion! Six Paths was stunned for a moment, actually being called the strongest demonic illusion of the 3 Tomo by Chen, which is enough to prove the power of this demonic illusion. It's called magic, the art of hanging. Chen said lightly. Magic, the art of hanging. This is the original demonic illusion that Uchiha Itachi used to use. In the original work, Uchiha Itachi just joined Akatsuki, and Orochimaru, who was also in Akatsuki, acted together. Orochimaru shot Uchiha Itachi because of covetousness, but was defeated by Uchiha Itachi with the shackle technique, and Orochimaru also quit Akatsuki. Can defeat Orochimaru, you can see this demonic illusion. The art of hanging is one of the Sharingan demonic illusion abilities. In the spiritual world constructed by the magician, the limbs of the captured person will have a feeling of being driven into wedges, and the body will be completely lost, accompanied by the illusion of physical pain. It is the supreme demonic illusion that binds the opponent's actions. Except for the demonic illusions such as Tsukuyomi and Kotoamatsukami of Mangekyo Sharingan, the power of this technique is definitely the top in the Sharingan demonic illusion. So Chen will say that this is the 3 Tomo's strongest demonic illusion. It turned out to be this demonic illusion, which is really strong and suitable for your killer. The old man of Six Paths agreed. Even Six Paths said so. Chen is more convinced of this demonic illusion. With the help of the old man Six Paths, Chen started the art of master shackles. Chen started demonic illusion's practice, ready to use the technique of shackles, and under the guidance of the old Six Paths, he also made rapid progress. Chen's pupil power is already very strong, and using demonic illusion is also like a duck in water, and soon master. Finally another killer. Chen said in a low voice. After trying many times, he was very satisfied with the effect of this demonic illusion. After Chen completed his practice, he suddenly remembered that the 3 generations of Hokage asked him to report to Anbu. I almost forgot when I was practicing the art of shackles. Chen shrugged helplessly, and hurried to the Anbu base. Chen put on the Anbu ninja suit that he hadn't put on for a long time, then put on a fox mask, and went to Anbu. The Anbu base was still as secretive as before. Chen entered the cave, followed the direction in his memory, and finally entered the interior of the Anbu base. Who? After entering the base, a low voice sounded. Chen took off his mask. I am Uchiha Chen, the new captain of Anbu. Take me to see Captain White Fang. Other ninja was obviously taken aback, but immediately said, yes. The leadership of this Anbu, Chen soon met White Fang. White Fang's silver hair was particularly eye-catching, and he smiled when he saw Chen. Chen, you are finally here. I have been hearing from you all this time. The way, congratulations on your promotion to Captain Anbu. Thank you. Chen smiled. White Fang waved his hand and smiled again. After you report to Anbu this time, are you going to the Land of Rain battlefield? Chen nodded. I only have a few days to rest. Only return to Konoha temporarily, and will continue to fight in a few days. So it is. White Fang also said solemnly, the battle situation is getting more and more urgent. I heard that the front line in Sunagakur village is tight, and Lord Hokage of the 3rd generation also intends to let me lead the battle against Sunagakur village. Chen heard the words, his heart moved. Let White Fang lead the battle in Sunagakur village. Wouldn't White Fang meet Sunagakur's puppet master Chiyo, Sasori's parents? Remember that in the original book, White Fang killed Sasori's parents. It seems that the battle is about to start. You came to Anbu, let the members of Anbu get to know you. The new captain. You have been away for so long, and many people in Anbu have changed. You may not know many people, and they may still be. I'm a little dissatisfied with you being the captain. White Fang smiled and asked everyone in Anbu to gather in front of Chen. Thank you for your support. Attach a picture of the art of shackles. Please download the Filu novel. 98U, let's go together. White Fang notified all Anbu staff to gather, except for the Anbu members who were out on a mission. All came to Chen and White Fang. There are about 30 people in total, and these are the members of Anbu directly under Hokage. Of course, now is war time, and many Hokage Anbu members are out on missions, so the real number is still far more than 30. Captain White Fang. These Anbu members all bowed respectfully to White Fang, all with a bit of admiration. The name of Konoha White Fang has long spread throughout the village, and the strength of White Fang is beyond doubt, which makes these Anbu members admire. Well, let me introduce, the person beside me is Uchiha Chen, the rising star of Konoha. You must have heard of his reputation on the battlefield of the Land of Rain, and he is the captain of our Anbu from today. White Fang introduced. White Fang is the captain of Anbu, and there are 2 sub-captains under the position of the captain. Chen is one of them. From today, Chen is second only to White Fang in Anbu. Uchiha Chen. He's Captain Anbu. The members of Anbu looked at each other, all looked at Chen, and at the same time there was a bit of doubt in their hearts. As White Fang said, during the time Chen was away, many of Anbu's members changed, and even the members who didn't change were not familiar with Chen. Although all of them have heard of Chen's illustrious name on the battlefield of the Kingdom of Rain, Chen is still a bit unfamiliar to these Anbu members, so the Anbu members whispered and were surprised by the news. White Fang also saw it, and said with a faint smile, Chen, you have just been promoted to Captain Anbu. Why didn't you show your strength and learn from a few members? What do you think? White Fang is helping Chen establish his prestige, and the best way to establish his prestige is of course to show his strength. I'm fine. Chen looked at the crowd in Anbu. Chen found that the members of Anbu were also eager to try. Obviously, these Anbu members are also arrogant, but not ordinary people can convince them. Although they had heard of Chen's reputation on the battlefield, they still wanted to experience Chen's strength. Looks like we can enjoy a good fight. White Fang laughed. Chen narrowed his eyes, just in time to learn the art of shackles, to test the power. I don't know who the strongest players in Anbu are. Chen asked lightly. White Fang was startled, then smiled. The strongest among Anbu at the moment should be the 3 of Aburame Shimura, Inuzuka Do, and Akamichi Yoshimaru. Soon as the words fell, Chen saw 3 people walking out of the Anbu members. Aburame Shimura is a man dressed in black, with only a pair of sunglasses. His whole body was wrapped in black clothes, his face could not be seen clearly, and he had the style of the Aburame clan. Inuzuka Tong is a tall and thin young man in his 20s. He is accompanied by a huge ninja dog. The ninja dog grins at Kiba and hugs Chen. Hostility. The last one is Akamichi Yoshimaru, a fat boy, a member of the Akamichi clan. Chen nodded secretly. The 3 were members of the Konoha Aburame, Inuzuka, and Akamichi clans. They were all Konoha's famous secret arts families. No wonder they were able to enter Anbu. All 3 of them are top elite Jonin, the best among these Anbu members. White Fang smiled. It seems that the most powerful group of Anbu should be sent out to carry out the mission. The 3 people in front of them are only the strongest among the more than 30 Anbu in front of them. They are all powerful elite Jonin, who are already very close to the peak Jonin, and their strength is also very good. Chen smiled lightly. The 3 of Aburame Shimura also looked at Shang Chen, and there was a hint of pride in their eyes. These 3 were considered Konoha famous, and they thought they were not inferior to Yu Chen. Seeing the expressions of the 3 of Aburame Shimura 3, Chen can probably also know what they are thinking. The members of Anbu are not easy people, and they all have a touch of arrogance. It is not easy to convince them of strength. 3 of Aburame Shimura in front of them clearly had some doubts about Chen's strength. I don't know which of the three of us, Captain, wants to fight first. Aburame Shimura stepped forward and asked aloud that he was ready to fight Chen, eager to try, hoping that Chen would choose him as his opponent. Chen shrugged, squinted at the three of Aburame Shimura, and said casually, "Don't be so troublesome, let's go together." The air seemed to be drawn away and became very quiet. "Let's go together." This sentence echoed in the Anbu base, making everyone think they heard it wrong. Chen's casual words, but instantly exploded. The three of Aburame Shimura, Inuzuka, Akamichi Yoshimaru were all stunned for a moment, and then their expressions turned Yuhi, a little angry and dissatisfied. White Fang was stunned for a moment, with shock and surprise. He wanted to stop Chen, but finally gave up. He also wanted to see how powerful Chen was. As for the other Anbu members, they all had a look of astonishment on their faces, and they never expected Chen to say such a thing. He actually let Aburame Shimura, Inuzuka do, Akamichi Yoshimaru three together as too arrogant. This is the first reaction of all Anbu members. The three of Aburame Shimura are all top elite Jonin. The three of them together is not as simple as 1 plus 1. Even the ordinary peak Jonin, it is difficult to resist the edge of the three of them, but this Uchiha Chen said to let the three of them three, then we're welcome. Aburame Shimura was also a little angry, and when she heard Chen's indifferent tone, a fire filled her heart. The same goes for Inuzuka Tomo and Akamichi Yoshimaru. Uchiha Chen in front of him must have underestimated them too. Maybe they are not opponents one-on-one, but they want to win the three of them together. Don't joke. The three of Aburame Shimura are full of anger, and feel that Chen underestimates them. Three of them walked up, surrounded Chen faintly, ready to fight. Let Chen taste their power. This is the idea of the three of Aburame Shimura. Chen Yi chuckled lightly, facing the three of them. Support, collection, recommendation, score. 99. The power of the horror demonic illusion. Ask for everything. All the Anbu members evacuated back, leaving a large area for Tatsu and Aburame Shimura for their battle. Aburame Shimura 3 secretly bit Kiba, and they all decided to teach Chen a lesson and let him understand how powerful he is 3-3. And Chen's expression was still relaxed and freehand, and there was even a smile on the corner of his mouth, which made Aburame Shimura's 3 anger accumulated and annoyed. White Fang took a step forward and said indifferently, "Since that's the case, I will act as the arbiter of this discussion." Chen and the others had no objection, and White Fang waved his hand, indicating that he could start. With a wave of White Fang's hand, the discussion officially began. Chen's figure flickered in vain. First he threw out dozens of kunai, placed a detonating talisman on top of each kunai, and headed towards the three of Aburame Shimura. HMPH, the mealworm carving tricks, I also want to stop us. Aburame Shimura avoided kunai, and when he moved his hands, he heard a humming sound, and from Aburame Shimura's left and right sleeves, a group of black things appeared, densely packed, very terrifying. Chen's eyes flashed. It was a parasite. The Aburame family is a family that specializes in using parasites to fight. They can skillfully manipulate all kinds of insects to fight, and their abilities are comprehensive and very powerful. The evil insect in front of him is one of the unique methods of the Aburame family. These worms are very troublesome, and if entangled by worms, these worms can bind enemies and absorb chakra. The Aburame family's worm's secret technique is indeed a bit tricky. Let's deal with Aburame Shimura first and then deal with the other two. Chen quickly made a decision in his heart. Out by Chen was evaded by the three of Aburame Shimura, and at the same time, the kunai exploded, and the detonating talisman raised a cloud of dust, blocking the line of sight. It would be too underestimated to rely on blocking the line of sight to delay the battle. Inuzuka Tong snorted coldly. He was a member of the Inuzuka clan, and beside him was a majestic and mighty ninja dog, barking. Ninja, the technique of doubling. The other one of the three is Akamichi Yoshimaru. Akamichi Yoshimaru used the technique of doubling, and his body became larger and looked like a hill. Standing there, he was very eye-catching. He also exuded a powerful chakra throughout his body. Aburame Shimura, Inazuka-do, Akamichi Yoshimaru, 3 people at the same time against the Tatsu. They also use the secret techniques of the clan to deal with Tatsu with all their strength. Joint action of the 3 top elite Jonin is absolutely unimaginable, even the ordinary peak Jonin can't resist. Kaden, Fire Style, Great Fireball Jutsu. Chen Li fainted, quickly hand seal, and released the Grand Fireball. I only saw the chakra around him condensed, and a group of strong flames emerged, condensed, and the rising flames burned, raged, and rose, as if to burn everything. Aburame Shimura sneered. Uchiha's Kaden, Fire Style, is such a secret art, insect tornado. Aburame Shimura moved his hands, and the worms flew out. Many of these worms were burned by the flames, and there was a crackling sound in the air. But there are too many of these parasites, and they can keep multiplying. During the manipulation of Aburame Shimura. Next, the bad worms flew towards Chen, and the overwhelming worms seemed to form a black cloud, very terrifying. Anbu ninjas who were watching the battle involuntarily retreated, leaving a distance of more than 10 meters, and only dared to watch the battle from a distance to prevent it from spreading. Insect tornado. These parasites really seemed to form a strong tornado, rushing towards Chen. Chen's heart froze, the Sharingan suddenly showed, and the Sharingan of the 3 Tomo kept spinning, facing Aburame Shimura's eyes. Not good, Sharingan. Aburame Shimura was startled suddenly, and secretly said, not good, it's really troublesome to face Sharingan. Magic, the art of shackles. Chen quickly uses this super powerful demonic illusion. Instant, Aburame Shimura was already in Chen's demonic illusion space. Before Aburame Shimura could react, his spirit sank, and a huge oppressive force hit him. Aburame Shimura only felt that his spirit was completely bound. In this demonic illusion space, he was still at the mercy of Chen, and he even had the strength to resist. None. This demonic illusion, this powerful spiritual force is so strong, I can't even resist at all. Aburame Shimura was sweating coldly on his head, feeling that his body was completely overwhelmed by this demonic illusion. Immediately afterwards, in the demonic illusion space, iron cables appeared around Aburame Shimura's body and limbs, completely binding him. In addition, there was a feeling of being punched directly by a wedge, accompanied by a strong burning pain. It felt as if the body was torn apart, and the spirit was greatly traumatized. Ah! Aburame Shimura broke out in cold sweat on his head, sweating profusely, completely lost his ability to resist, and screamed. In just an instant, Aburame Shimura was defeated by the art of hanging. As expected of the art of hanging, Chen is very satisfied with the power of this demonic illusion. No wonder Uchiha Itachi was able to defeat Orochimaru with this powerful demonic illusion, it is indeed unique. Aburame Shimura was instantly defeated by this demonic illusion, and his spirit was on the verge of collapse. No, Shimura got hit by Uchiha Tatsu's demonic illusion. Akamichi Yoshimaru next to him found out that Aburame Shimura was wrong and quickly injected a large amount of chakra into Aburame Shimura's body. The essence of demonic illusion is to disrupt the normal flow of the enemy's chakra into the world of demonic illusion. Akamichi Yoshimaru cracks demonic illusion by injecting a lot of chakra into Aburame Shimura. It's a good fit. Chen saw Akamichi Yoshimaru's actions, and took the initiative to revoke the shackles. The demonic illusion space disappeared, and with a bang, he saw Aburame Shimura kneeling directly on the ground, his forehead and body covered in cold sweat, his whole body was soaked, and at the same time, he gasped so violently that he couldn't even move his fingers. Demonic illusion space just now, it's clear that Aburame Shimura has taken a huge hit. Aburame Shimura had a bitter smile on the corner of his mouth, and gave a miserable laugh. He didn't expect to lose so badly. It was just a demonic illusion that hit Lycan, and he was killed in an instant. The surroundings became quiet in an instant. Aburame Shimura was instantly killed by Chen, a demonic illusion, and the surrounding Anbu ninjas took a deep breath. This chapter is free. Recommend a friend's book. Title: The Law God of Hokage, travels through Hokage with the system and becomes the god of law step by step. Why did you cast Tsukuyomi? Sasuke looked at Jizan in horror. Jizan said lightly. Naturally, I learned it, and it took 3 days to determine it was a bit difficult. Why do you own Sharingan? Why are you Rasengan? Each ninjutsu is in Jizan's hands, so you can easily master it just by analyzing it. This chapter is free, and if you are interested, you can read Filu's reminder. 100 Terrible Chen, Anbu. In the demonic illusion space, but the actual time is a split second. At this moment, Aburame Shimura was hit by Chen's demonic illusion, fell directly to the ground, and was instantly killed by the art of hanging. Aburame Shimura is now kneeling on the ground, lying on his stomach, completely unable to move, his face is pale, and his brows Kakuzu's mouth twitched slightly, and there was still a bit of fright in his eyes. After a moment of experience just now, Aburame Shimura has deeply realized the terrifying effect of the art of shackles. So strong demonic illusion, even Aburame Shimura was instantly killed. Yeah, Aburame Shimura's strength is at the top even among Anbu ninjas, but this Uchiha Chen is so amazing. Awful eyes, awful demonic illusion. Anbu's ninjas whispered, one after another, and when they looked at Chen-shi, their eyes were already filled with awe. The visual impact and effects brought by demonic illusion are really amazing. In their eyes, it is as if Chen gave Aburame Shimura a quick glance and defeated Aburame Shimura without any other superfluous actions. It is really unfathomable. Aburame Shimura's mouth is even more bitter. He is the most terrifying person from demonic illusion just now. In the spiritual space, he didn't even have the strength to resist, and he even doubted whether he would have survived if Chen hadn't taken the initiative to revoke demonic illusion. Aburame Shimura looked at Shang Chen with fearful eyes, and a shadow was cast in his heart, leaving an indelible impression. If it is not unexpected, Aburame Shimura will be involuntarily afraid when he encounters Chen again, unless he can overcome the fear in his heart, or he will no longer have the courage to do anything to Chen. Shimura, are you okay? Akamichi Yoshimaru and Inuzuka both screamed with concern on their faces. Aburame Shimura moved his lips, but found that he was completely speechless and had to give up. When fighting with me, there is still time to care about your teammates. Chen said softly. Chen's chakra was also consumed violently by the technique of shackles just now. The high-level demonic illusion of the technique of shackles consumes a lot of chakra, and Chen's chakra also consumes a lot. Fortunately, Chen's chakra volume itself is very good, but it can support it. However, he also made up his mind to resolve the battle quickly. Kaden Fire Style, Balsam Claw Fire. Chakra surged on Chen's body, spitting out a mouthful of flame. Wrapped in a shuriken between flames, he attacked Inuzuka and Akamichi Yoshimaru. The flame wraps the shuriken, which gives the flame powerful penetrating power and thrusting power, and is also Chen's specialty in ninjutsu. The flames of the Impatience Claw Fire spread to the two of Inuzuka, and after Aburame Shimura was eliminated, Chen felt relieved. Watch out for his Kaden Fire Style, it's amazing. Inuzuka drank loudly, and chakra emerged. Kiba Wolf Kiba. I only saw Inuzuka Tong and the giant beside him, transformed into a huge two-headed wolf. This two-headed wolf showed pure Yuhi blood, extremely cruel, and looked at Chen with a fierce face. Kiba Wolf Kiba. Inuzuka Boy and Ninja Dog transformed into two-headed wolf will be fast. The rapid rotation formed a huge tornado, which directly brought all the flames and shuriken of the Impatience Claw Fire, and attacked Chen at the same time. A strong hurricane swept through, gusts of wind swept in, and the air was blown away. The ninjutsu of Kiba Wolf Kiba is very powerful, making the surrounding stones and obstacles all turned into powder. Chen responded calmly, his figure flickered in vain, and he used the teleportation technique. This blow was easily dodged by Chen. Kiba Wolf Kiba has strong destructive power, but it also has shortcomings, that is, when releasing Kiba Wolf Kiba, Due to high-speed rotation, the caster's field of vision is 0, and it is difficult to grasp the enemy's position. Once the attack fails, it is easy to be counterattacked by the opponent. So after Chen dodged the Kiba Wolf Kiba's blow, he sees the opportunity and immediately shot Chidori's sharp spear. Chen used Chidori's morphological changes, only to see a strong beam burst out, lightning flashed. Chen at the same time injected a touch of Yangdeng into this ninjutsu, making Chidori appear a touch of gold, resulting in nature transformation. Under the influence of Yangdun, the power of Chidori's sharp spear is also greatly enhanced. With a bang, the sound of thunder and lightning burst out. At the same time, only Chidori's sharp spear was seen. It stabbed out accurately, stabbed in the middle of the two-headed wolf, blood spattered, and the two-headed wolf wailed and screamed. Bang! A cloud of white smoke came out, the transformation technique was lifted, and the two-headed wolf changed back to the appearance of Inuzuka Boy and Ninja Dog. Inuzuka Boy spit out a mouthful of blood, obviously suffering serious injuries. In addition, Inuzuka Tong's whole body was covered with golden thunder and lightning. He was shocked to find that he was completely paralyzed and couldn't move at all. It was obviously caused by the Raiden Thunder style just now. The Golden Thunderbolt should be Raiden Thunder style with some kind of nature transformation added. It's so mysterious that there is a Golden Thunderbolt. The members of Anbu are also unique, and they can see the extraordinary part of Chen mixed with Yangdun Chidori at a glance. It turned out to be a Golden Thunder and Lightning, which has never been heard of before. Mention seeing it, I haven't even heard of it. These Anbu ninjas looked at Chen with awe and awe. They only felt that Chen was too deep and unfathomable, exceeding their expectations time and time again. Terrifying demonic illusion, the Golden Thunderbolt made these Anbu members who had no impression of Chen have a deep awe. These Anbu members couldn't help imagining in their minds, if they could resist Chen's attack instead. The answer was obviously no. They are perhaps even worse than Inuzuka and Aburame Shimura. Thinking of this, the members of Anbu showed a deep fear. They all knew that Chen used a Chidori sharp spear to solve Inuzuka, who is now paralyzed and lost his fighting power. Chen narrowed his eyes, and finally focused his eyes on Akamichi Yoshimaru. Inuzuka and Aburame Shimura were defeated by Chen, and now only Akamichi Yoshimaru is left. The result is doomed, it goes without saying. Akamichi Yoshimaru is also pale, obviously expected the result. I heard that the automatic subscriptions are all handsome guys and beautiful women. Wow.